Hello and welcome to the Syndicate Racing League Round 1, Season 2. Some technical gremlins there means we've missed Q1 and I'm missing a co-commentator because we couldn't get the audio included. So we'll just wrap up this. Looks like Fence hasn't set a lap time, so he won't be going through this Q1 session. AJ is also out on a lap at the moment. Can he go and prove? He goes up, so that puts Fox down into the chopping zone, 16th. And he'll be knocked out of Q1. I won't be progressing to Q3, Q2 even, and McLeod is also on that chopping block. So it's McLeod, Fox, and Fence who don't progress to Q2. The track doesn't seem like it's going to rain, at least not until maybe Q3. We have a small chance of rain coming. The next session. Yeah, it looks like no rain at the moment. So as we just go through the results of qualifying Q1 session, it's Keji who's on pole with 117.175. The cut-off point has been quite a bit higher than predicted. 15th for 119.433 was the cut-off point for the next session. And if we just scroll through, check out the instance, some exceeding track limits, and speeding in the pit lane warnings. And if we scroll down, we can make a clip of that, which can be used in the future. So, we begin Q2, qualifying 2. Strug's going straight out. We'll watch him go round onto his outlap. He'll be the first person to set a time, I believe. Let's go into track map and enable the track map. Strug's is first out on track in the Williams, quickly followed by his teammate Fade. AJ also coming out on track. So it's Joker, Matusas in the Alpines, and Keji in my seat for the weekend. Aston Martin probably, not my seat for long with me doing this commentating. So Struggs, he came second last weekend. He'll be hoping for a good qualifying result. Cars likely to go down. Our car's getting kind of above a 118.5, 117.5 I'd originally said for Q2, but I'm going to up that around for 118.5. I think that's the cut-off point. As we watch Struggs, we'll go on board as he starts his lap. He crosses the timing beam to start the lap. Struggs is one of our stronger performers in the league. He's always there or thereabouts in the front of qualifying at least. As he hits the apex of turn 1, opens up the DRS. Second reverse of DRS as you head into turn 2, and this is a corner you can brake. You can go quite wide in it. The line is all over the place really, and he opens up turn 3. And come up to this tricky left-hander at turn 4 where track limits is always an issue, and he keeps that well within inside the track limits, so just going for a banker here, doesn't want to do anything too extravagant. As there's a spinner through the final corner, that looks like it could be Soul Collector, who spun through the final corner. As we head into this really tricky, technical middle sector. Turn 10 and then turn 11. Flat out as you accelerate down to turn 12. Brake quite early near that curving, get on that inside curving and use all the runoff possible. Open up the corner for turn 13. Past the pit entry, use a bit of that curving on the right to extend your exit and get on the parallel. And he's running it nicely, doing a late apex to open up this final corner. It's a 16.9, so that's our fastest time so far. Let's see if anyone can beat that. Struggs is a tenth ahead of Fade, and Keji immediately goes 2 tenths quicker. Perennially quick Keji is, and he has gone 2 tenths quicker to take pole. Well, it's not pole position; it's just the top of the timings. And obviously, this is a session to dictate who goes out in the final 5. No rules around tyres anymore. Starting on any tyre if you start in the top 10, so everyone has pretty much a free choice, and the free choice is to pick softs. As we see a Mercedes, it will be the Mercedes of Chonk. He's gone wide through turn 11, possibly got on the entry curbs to the left of turn 11, and at that point you're doing a BS 50-50 and grinding the curbs as he slows down to try and get out of the way of oncoming cars that may be on a lap. Soul Collector spun at the start of his lap, so probably not optimal, but he could be able to get a lap in here, at least a banker, presuming he had heated up those tyres too much. And heating up the tyres is really, really easy to do around this track, especially since the last update. So tyre temps are on everyone's mind, keeping those pressures down. And Soul Collector, he jumps up to 8th place. That's the slowest of the one, so that's 8 seconds down on his next nearest rival, who's Chonk, so that's not a representative time. So at the moment we have Keji. He's coming into the pits now on a 1:16.731. Struggs a 1:19.921. Fade a 1:17.093. So Ben is up into the 1:17s just, and AJ 1:17.492. So good couple of consecutive laps there to put him in a nice place. As we join Bullbag, he's returning to the pits on an outlap, so maybe he's had a bit of wing damage on the way through. Skull the Bull, he is starting a lap, but we'll watch OS Degrees as he goes around. The Sol Ferrari left in qualifying after his teammate was knocked out in Q3. Captain Rainbow Fox will be disappointed with that start, but just qualifying, it's a long race ahead. Safety car risk, it's around medium around here. It's quite hard to bring a safety car out, I find, but it being quite a tight technical circuit, collisions are sure to happen. But yeah, quite hard to bring a safety car out because often safety cars come out after, instance between 2 cars, and the overtaking opportunities are quite poor, really. Into turn 1, into turn 2, maybe into turn 3 and 4. As Alex Trent G, he's retired from the session, so possibly. Not sure why he's retired there. That's not quite clear to me. He hasn't set a lap time, so he can't be confident with his session. And we have Geordie out on track, so maybe just having to bail on that one. Go back to OS. How's he doing? As he cuts the timing beam, he jumps up to 9th, so that would be enough to get through, but on the brink, 1:19.5, I know he can go quicker than that. Possibly had a bit of a tardy lap there. Some kinks get ironed out. Chonk has improved to a 1:18, going slowly at the moment, just creeping those tyres back. As Keji and Struggs, they go out on another out lap. We'll see if these are on fresh tyres or... Let's have a look. We can probably tell somehow through the menus. Details, tyre, 1 lap. So I think these are fresh tyres. No, they're not fresh tyres. They must be 1 lap used. We jump off board there because the onboard sounds in this game are horrendous. Toblerone starts a lap. And the Alfa Romeo, he's on the bubble here. Two places away from being secure and going into Q3, the final shootout for pole. And it looks like Track Limits cuts that corner and backs off from the lap. So just a bit too eager through that complex. A purple first sector by the looks of things. So really, really quick. He has the speed through the first sector, but just cutting that corner, causing a bit of problems. Joker behind him. Coming up, looks like he's still on lap and still pushing. So Toblerone should be mindful that he needs to let Joker through. And he just runs wide there. That may be a bit of track limits. It's hard to tell with this game whether it hurts you for that or not. As Toblerone gets out of the way for Joker. As he comes through these final corners of turn 12 into the hairpin of turn 13 and then a consecutive hairpin of turn 14 onto the finish straight. Where can Joker put himself? Hasn't set a lap time yet. Will be hoping to improve and go somewhere into the top 10. Doesn't. Only 12th. Only good enough for 12th there for Joker. So 1:19.679. That's our slowest qualifying time we've had yet. So he's got 6 minutes to improve and get another lap time out. So he'll have time to go again. As Toblerone, who cut that turn 4, he's having another crack at the whip. We go on board with Keji. Keji's come back into pits straight away, so I'm not quite sure what's happened with Keji there. Maybe a spin. Chonk has had a spin through turn 5, exit at turn 5 between chicane of 6 and 7. And he has the fast approaching Toblerone behind. Let's follow that and make sure that Chonk clears out the way. He does. Maybe a bit of a distraction, but not else. Much more Chonk could have done to get out of the way there. As he goes wide, that may be track limits. Who knows? He's still pushing, so looks like it won't be track limits. Struggs have retired from the session, so is Fade. Surprised if Keji doesn't as well. He's pretty safe because of that. Toblerone, and he's pushing. There's a yellow flag out. I think that's the slow moving car of the Haas as it enters the pits. Where does this put Toblerone? Does it actually set a lap? 1:18.8. So that is really around the cut-off point. 1:18.5 is what we're thinking about cut-off point. So the Alfa Romeos of Skull and Toblerone are in 9th and 10th on the bubble. 4 cars can knock them out behind them. Alex Trent, he's retired from the session, so unsure why he couldn't carry on, but obviously he needs to jump off for some reason. Hopefully he'll be there for the race. As we join OS Degrees, he's on an outlap. OS Degrees will be hoping to improve his time of 1:19.5. Has a pace. Came second in last year's championship. A quick runner here, but struggling quite to get to grips with the speed back that he had in F1 2021 in F1 22, but that speed will come to him very quickly. Hoping to salvage something for Ferrari's day, even if it's in a virtual space. As Matusas has retired, he's gone on 1:17.1, so he feels he's safe. So he won't be leaving the pits. Keji still in the pits as well. OS Degrees cuts the timing beam, but he's going out onto a lap here. So we'll follow him round the Scarlet Ferrari as it takes turn 1, opens up the second DRS, and it comes into shot, zooms into turn 2, the left-hand hairpin that opens out into this right-hand kink of turn 3. Try and take as much speed as possible through turn 2 and turn 3, and then into the tricky turn 4 corner where we ride on board. He gets a big snap of oversteer, but he managed to keep it in track limits, which will be important. As he pushes very hard, this corner requires patience. Cuts those nice curves, clatters the in. And he's screwily out of turn 7. He cut the chicane a little bit too much and clattered the inside curve. Now, I'm not too sure how long he's got left. 3 minutes, so he'll have to back off here. I think he's backing off and recharging and going for another lap here, because this will be his final chance to set a good lap time. As we have Joker also on an outlap. He'll be looking to improve his time. He's currently 14th, last of the runners still left in. OS Degrees will be going around again. Has he got enough charge? He'll be hoping he has enough fuel and charge. Looks like he's got about 50% EOS at the moment, deployment. That should hopefully be enough to give him a decent lap, but may not be perfect conditions. Obviously, the tyres have been spent a little bit by charging through half of the lap. Every error is critical, and it's a sport of fine margins even. as he goes through this turn 4. No oversteer here, so should be improving on his time. Calmly through turn 5. As he comes to the turn 6 and 7 corner, he'll be trying to be more patient around here. And he doesn't clip that inside curve, that sausage curve, so it's a better through there. And he's got a chance here, but he's really low on EOS. Can you see he's on about 8% deployment? So he may be clipping as he reaches the end of this lap. Hopefully he's done enough to stay in. At the moment, it's Toblerone, Geordie, OS, and Joker in the drop zone. With Skuller Ball right on the bubble. Soul Collector, Bullbag, Chonk, they all feel like they've done enough. They haven't gone out for laps. They all feel like they've done enough with 1 minute 25 left in this session. As OS Degrees goes around the final corner, turn 14, hits that apex late to carry the power through this straight. And it's not good enough. The clipping has cost him. It's a 1:19.4. OS is out of this session. How is Joker doing? So that will be very disappointing for OS. Joker looks like he's slow, possibly recharging an energy powder instant at the start of this lap. Geordie, Toblerone, Soul, Bullbag, Chonk, they're all in the pits. So we can presume that actually the only person that is unsafe at the moment is Soul Collector. If Joker can come round and improve his lap, he will have time. 45 seconds left to get round. It's unlikely that OS Degrees will get around again. And Skuller Ball is going around again, but he's now retired on track, which you're not meant to do. So I've got a clip of that. Not meant to retire on track during a session. Especially as there's still cars going around. This isn't the end of OS Degrees has done the same. So there's still cars fighting here, fighting for places. So I don't think he'll come across there, and it's a spin for Joker. So that finalises the order. There's 5 cars knocked out here. Toblerone, the Alfa Romeo of Toblerone, the Haas of Geordie, on a 1:19.1. OS Degrees has gone out on a 1:19.4. That'll be disappointment for the person who came second in the championship, fighting all the way to Austria last year. And Joker with a spin on his final lap there. That's cost him. He's in 14th. And Alex Trent G didn't set a lap time, had an issue in the pits. Keji taking first position. Strugs, Fade in their normal formation. 1, 2, and 3 between those 3. That's how they finished the French GP, and that's how they'll aim to finish. Well, certainly Keji will aim to finish that. Strugs and Fade would obviously like to start further up. So we have one final session of qualifying Q3 to decide the pole shootout. 12 minutes. As we go through this, there's 5 cars knocked out here. Toblerone, Geordie, OS, and Joker, and Alex Trent, who didn't set a lap time in the Haas. And we'll just go through these incidents. I'll make a clip of these just in case they need to be used in a ready-up rule scenario. So, as we go into Q3, the important session that will decide the top 10. The cars that have made it through is the Williams. Both the Williams cars have made it through into this session, and the Red Bull, both Red Bulls, AJ and Soul Collector have made it through. The Alpine of Matusas, the Mercedes of Chonk, both Aston Martins doing well. You love to see it. Keji and Bullbag waving the Canadian flag of Papa Stroll. The AlphaTauri of Ben and Skuller Bull and the Alfa Romeo, the final place, getting through. As we see the Williams boys jockeying for position, trying to set up their outlaps. I'm sure it's coordinated between those two. They'll be on team comms. Predicted pole time, I'm thinking around a 1:16.5 for pole time. The fastest we've had so far is a 1:16.7 track evolution, but be somewhere in this 1:16.5, 1:16.4 area. So, excitement builds, tension builds. Can everyone get their first lap in, a banker lap? That gives them room to breathe. Obviously, we saw yesterday, Max Verstappen. He made a mistake on that first lap, locked up a wheel into turn 2. And that cost him, really. He had to start 10th. Obviously, didn't cost him too much in the race, but really crucial because when he came back to his next lap, his engine was not firing all cylinders and in limp home mode. So as we look back, Matusas backing up, Skolaball waiting behind him. As we go on to the lap, we'll follow Keji. I believe Keji is the one to split the time and being first and start their lap. Number 46. He certainly is on the car. I know if he's 46 in the league. As Shonk is going slowly in the final sector, I think trying to open up the space. Let's ride on board with Keji. Our fast man. Won both of the practice races in good form. As he extends that corner, hits it perfectly, keeping the right-hand wheel just in track limits through turn 4. Early on the power out of turn 5. And patient through turn 5 and 6. That's what is required, and it was nice enough. Good traction out of turn 7 as he goes for this technical sector. Turn 8 into turn 9 and 10 and 11. Pushing as hard as you can. Try and bring it in early. Cut that as much as you can. Turn 12. And this is turn 13, the first of 2 U-turns, 2 hairpins even. And finally, the final hairpins as he comes out, splits the timing beam. What is it? It's a 1:16.829, so he's gone quicker. He has gone quicker. So how's Strug's doing? 1:17.7, he struggles. Fade takes to the top of the times. 1:16.63. That's a good time for Fade. AJ starts a lap. We'll keep an eye on some of the other people coming through though. Skullable. He goes up 1:16.9, so onto the 1:16s by Skull. That'll be good for him. Soul Collector up into 5th. So Strugs, Soul Collector, they can do better times than that. Strugs can. Keji also. We've seen a better time from him, so not a perfect lap from him. As we look, as Chonk crosses in, he does a 1:17.7. He'll be happy with that pace. And Ben does a 1:18.6. And we have Bullbag going into the pits. Must have made a mistake on this lap. Decided not to carry on with it. He'll switch on to a different pair of tyres. As we have a look at AJ, who will be pushing hard through this middle sector, trying to claim every little bit of time, put a nice banker in, keeps it in track limits as he went through turn 11 into turn 12. Doesn't take as much inside curb there as Keji would. Turn 13 and into turn 14. Matusa's been disqualified from session, driving the wrong way, so possibly a spin from him. And then the overzealous race director there getting involved. AJ does a 1:17.6, so that's enough to take him up to 4th. Obviously, you're looking at Strugs. He can set a faster lap time than that. Made a mistake on his lap. Chonk. He's not pushing. He'll be returning to pits. Toblerone's left the session. Not quite sure what that's about. Hopefully he can get back in before the race start. If we take a look at the weather conditions, we have a clear session for the next 15 minutes, so that should get all the way to the end. Matusas will be very annoyed with his disqualification. He's had pace for 4th. Oh, as Chonk gets all slidey into the pit lane. Gets onto the pit lane, fine. No harm done, but losing back that end, getting a bit squirrely, getting a bit Larry and loose as he enters the pits. Just trying to rush back, give himself as much time as possible. I don't think it's possible to get 3 laps here. I think you get 2 laps, well, 2 sets of tyres at least, and the tyres go off pretty damn quick around here. The heat that the tyres gather is quite extraordinary. So let's go on board with Keji. He's going straight out again. Maybe he thinks if he makes a mistake, he can jump onto a different pair of tyres. He's not happy with his time. He can go quicker. 1:16.7, I believe, in Q2 got him through. So he knows he's got a tenth in it. That extra tenth wouldn't put him anywhere, but Fade has hit the top of the times exactly when he needs to. A great banker lap that gives him a lot to build on. We'll be following him with interest. As Struggs also goes on that outlap, he'll need a better time than a 1:17.7 to be in pole. We know he can do a better time. Again, must have made a mistake on that lap. A big mistake for a second. Chonk informed us there may be some rain in Q3. The data I have is that in 30 minutes there may be a bit of rain, which of course is way after the 5 minutes ends. So it'll be interesting to see what the conditions are for the race. Looks like conditions for the race are clear. Starting off sunny, ending even sunnier, but with a bit of cloud in the middle. So looks like conditions are okay for the race, which people will be relieved about. As Struggs starts his lap, be a crucial lap here. If he makes a mistake, he'll probably have time to get onto a different pair of tyres, but will he actually have another pair of tyres? I'm unsure. So as we ride on board into this turn 2, and he picks a braking marker, turns it in, tries to open up this turn 3, use that curb to rotate you in, and all the way to the right for turn 4. Not as much curb as Keji normally does, but nicely run through there. And exiting turn 5, turn 6 and 7, this chicane. There's a yellow flag of Keji. He's crashed, so Keji won't be on pole. It's a shootout between the Williams, presumably. That may have cost Struggs a little bit of time there as he has to lift, as not quite sure where Keji will have retired from. So what time can Struggs set? Fade also out there on a lap at the moment. Is he improving? We'll see if he's improving. Not improving so far on his lap, but we'll see where Struggs comes first. One step at a time. 1:17.7. He goes into 1:16.4 territory. A very quick lap there. The mark has been put down. Fade. Can he show his grit and determination? How is his lap doing? He's got a 27 middle sector. Is this enough to take it off his teammate? A duel at the top between the two Williams. And he puts in doesn't go quicker. So 1:16.6 is his best time. He probably won't have time to get around again. So it's looking Struggs from Fade, from Keji, demoted onto the second row, making a mistake on his second qualifying lap. Scholar Bull hasn't come out for a second time yet. 1:16.9, the only other driver to reach the 1:16s in this session. I know Matusas was capable of it certainly, but some problematic thing there. We've got a random bot saying to buy viewers. Let's delete that. How do you delete that? Great. Well, thank you everyone for following who's followed. We've got 10 viewers at the moment. It's nice to see. As we will go on board with AJ, who's on a lap. He's coming through into this third sector. As there's a Williams in front. Hopefully they'll get out of the way. Not get in the way. Opens up turn 12. Or is it 13? It's 13. Turn 13. The numbers get me on this. There's no names for any of the corners to my knowledge. Oh, he clips the inside of the pit wall there, trying to find every bit of track. And does it help him? It doesn't help him. So that's problematic for AJ, maybe starting in 6th there. We see Scholar Bull and Bullbagger yet to leave the pits. Fade's retired from the session. Once returning to the pits, that's good to see. Struggs on pole. Scholar Bull, he's not going out again. And there's a Bullbag. So this could be more or less it. Chonk is just warming up his tyres for a final lap. So we'll go on board with him once Soul Collector has finished his lap. But it looks like he's not pushing either. So maybe a problem for Soul Collector. So we'll go back on Chonk. He's leaving every bit of pace left in the tyres, making sure not too hot as he goes on to the start-finish straight to open up his lap wide through that corner, but trying to take in every bit of track to speed him up. And he clings to this left-hand side. Brakes just short of the 50-meter marker for turn 1. Into the apex, opens up the corners, cuts across to the right-hand side to open up the corner. Turn 2. As we go off board, he keeps a relatively tight line, tries to open up this third corner, rotates quite nicely in there. And how does he do on turn 4? Very, very cautious through there, not cutting the corner, not running wide at all. And Soul Collector has retired on track. Not quite sure what that is. Oh, is that AJ who's retired on track? No, he's had a spin. So that's not great for him. We also have Ben on an outlap, but I don't think he's going to make it around, if I'm right. I'm unsure of that. So Chonk. Oh, he will make it around. He will make it around to start a lap. Fastest middle sector, according to my times. Fastest middle sector from Chonk. He'll be happy with that. Has he got a good enough time here to cause an upset, to take the fight to the Williams? Make it a Mercedes-Williams fight at the front. Can he do that? How is he doing? As he splits the timing beam, what time does he put in? It's a 1:17.2, so a good middle sector, but not as fast as he could be. So that's 5th place. He'll be okay with that, I think. That's good speed. Doesn't quite make into 1:16s, but it's good speed. As we have Ben, he's on a lap. The final car on a lap here. As we go on board. And there's a strange clipping camera issue at the bottom. Don't look at the camera issue. Look at the wheels. As he runs wide through turn 7 there. Not the most clean lap here, but hopefully he can improve. He'll be looking to get into the kind of time zone where AJ is, I reckon, as he rides the curve of turn 12, turn 11 even, as he enters turn 12. Not too aggressive there. Not too aggressive on that curbing. So you can see the pace differences just watching along between the likes of Struggs and Keji and maybe someone like Ben. Every bit of the track is being exploited by those front runners. As he splits the timing beam, this will finish off qualifying. Where did he get up to? A 1:17.6, so he does improve a place, pushes Soul Collector down to 8th place, to 9th place even. So he goes up to 8th place. And we have our pole position. We have Struggs. He takes his maiden pole. No, I don't know if it's maiden pole in Syndicate Racing League. He takes a pole in the Syndicate Racing League in the first round of the season. We're at the Hungary Grand Prix. It's Fade in second for 1:16.7. 2 tenths, just under 2 tenths down. Keji, who crashed out, didn't get to set a lap. Could have gone faster, certainly, on a 1:16.8 in third. Scholar Bull, Chonk, Bullbag, AJ, Ben, Soul, and Matusas, who was disqualified, round out the top 10. And I'll just scroll through the instance really quickly, just to get a record of them, just in case there's a Reddit rule. So we'll have roughly 6 minutes until 6 minutes until the start of the race, presuming that no one readies up and jumps to start. I'll just clip this clip and take a wee break from talking before we have the frantic start of the race. So Matusas is in chat. He's saying he's got a long race ahead, and he was disqualified for going the wrong way while trying to get back on track after a spin. Yeah, you do love to see it, don't you? It's just the overzealous race directing in game at the moment. And Rogue Trent saying, bigging up his man, and someone has jumped the start. So we will be going for a race reformation here. As there is an issue, some people have left the session. Someone's jumped the start. We'll jump into Syndicate Racing to see what's gone on here. Red flag. It wasn't pole. Flag. Okay. So it looks like Poland has caused a red flag here. So I will have to jump in and create another lobby. So if you're watching on board here, it's AJ who's going to be making a lobby again. So AJ will send out an invite. I'll quickly ask. We have this. So let's push this along. So. Right. So we have a radio roll. I've been able to post the results of Q3. So let me just talk through if there's anyone who isn't aware of our radio rule. Basically, we give everyone 5 minutes on the grid to go get a drink between the long qualifying session and the full race session. Unfortunately, Codemasters don't allow the race leader to dictate when we start. So if someone readies up, that causes a countdown. We put something in our Discord server saying this race will start at X time. And if anyone readies up before then they are demoted to the back of the grid. So, yeah, if we're just going to go through here, people can start picking their teams. And Chonk, AJ, Fence, Emmybot, Bullbag, Geordie, OS, Toblerone, Captain, Rainbow Fox. So it was Poland who did the jump start, so he'll be at the back anyway. But that's his 1 freebie. If he jump starts again, then he will be disqualified from the session on restart. So the thing it does allow is new tyres, fresh tyres to be used. That's something we can't really avoid. So as I just join a party. Hello. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. It did look dry on my phone, so I would say. Was it light cloud? Yeah, it was. Next race was sunny. There's sun behind clouds, and then sun behind clouds, and then sunny right at the end. So I would say light sun or whatever it is. And yeah, set that. Yeah, because I think if there was some rain, we set it to dynamic. Like if there was rain in that session, but it didn't look like it was. Yeah. Yeah. I can read the grid out. So it'll be. Do you want to go bottom to top? Bottom or top first? Top to bottom. Okay. One second. So no, I've got the wrong video open. It was Strugs and then Fade. So Q1 was Strugs, P1 was Strugs, then it was Fade, then it was Keji. 4th place was Skull the Bull. Chonk was in 5th. I can hear myself. That's really hard. Who am I hearing myself on? I don't know. So Chong was in 5th. And then Bullbag was 6th. Yep. Ben, then Sol. Yeah, Ben just got sold at the end of qualifying with the final lap. So he got into 8th place, and then it was Matusas in 10th who disqualified. Let me just open up the second video for the rest of the results. Yeah. If there was a chance of rain, then we'd set it to dynamic. If it's dry, we set it to dry. Okay, so in P11 it was Toblerone. Geordie was in 12th. Then OS in 13th. Then Joker was in 14th. And then I believe it was Alex Trent in 15th. But let me just scroll down in the video. Yep, Alex Trent in 15th. And then the final 3 places were... So 16th was Captain Rainbow Fox. And then McLeod, then Fence was at the back anyway. So he avoids any kind of real penalty, but obviously if he does it again in this session, he's... Right, I will jump out of this party. Have fun, everyone. Oh, wait a second. Should I just set the settings? Or is it the same as... Was it the same as last time? Yeah. Yeah, approximate, but that doesn't really matter anymore. On, immersive, standard, safety car experience, formation light on. AI difficulty 60. Collisions, ghosting is on. And... Yeah, so just to put a ready at roll and put the time you want to do. Right, good luck, everyone. No, Park Ferme is not in. Basically, the tyres don't matter anymore, and we can't stop people from changing setups. We can't police that. You should choose the same setup, but we can't police people changing their setups right now. But yeah, that's it. Right, okay, right. Good race, everyone. Good luck. Right, so we hope to restart the league in a few minutes. We've just had a ready up rule infraction, so that's the first one in an actual league race to happen. It was Fence, who was starting at the back anyway, but he would have been pushed to the back if he was starting any higher. If Fence makes the same mistake again in this session, then that is him removed from the session. As I'll just pour myself a new drink. So you'll hear glug 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 glug. So let's see what people are saying in chat if they're talking. Let me through at the start, and we can hunt the others down. Matusas, he's right. There's scheming going on in this Twitch chat. There's scheming going on. So is Alex Trent in the lobby? Just trying to work out if everyone is here. Alex Trent's here. I think everyone's here. So we're 1 second away from the session starting, but obviously there's going to be a couple more minutes until the ready up rules is set, and we'll have so 21:09 is when start time is going to be. We have the same grid as before with Fence at the back, but he was at the back anyway. So let's go through some of the pit stop windows. Hopefully a ready up rule infraction doesn't occur again. So I'm thinking there's maybe 1 stops and 2 stops. Yeah, in an optimal world without safety cars, we're going to have safety cars. It's online racing with a mix of skill ranges. There's going to be safety cars in this league. especially around the track around Hungary. And we have, I think, when I've been doing some practice races through here, I've actually found starting on softs was a good idea. Just waiting, gambling on that first safety car coming out. And I've always felt I've wanted to leave my hard and mediums, because in this game you only get one of each, which I'm not quite sure why you only get one of each. It's not like that in real life. But yeah, you only get one of each of the medium and hard. So keeping those in reserve is actually a good way to go about it. So having those softs at the start, if you lose the front wing through turn one, then you're not in a really, really bad position, having to put on an old set of softs or hards towards the end of the race if there's another safety car. So say there's a safety car around lap 50, we run 70 laps around here, and so there's a safety car around lap 50, you're not having to put on a pair of softs that really are going to be past their best by lap 10 and clinging on for dear life on the 20th rotation, 20th tour of the circuit. So yeah, tyre temps are really, really crucial here. Pit stop time isn't too long. It's only about 20.9 seconds in the game, with obviously plus 5 seconds for a wing change, roughly. And that's a purple stop, so that's a good stop. And we do have that little pit-in mini-game, let's call it, because you don't steer in properly. You just press a button to time the stops. We do have that active in our league. If you choose to have it on, I think some people can turn it off, but you only get green stops. So people will be putting the purple one on. Oh, so the first round of our league gets underway. The first round on F122 for us. We've done 2 practice races. Keji, who's this week in the Aston Martin, but in the 2 practice racing, he was in the Alfa Romeo. Our reserve driver extraordinaire, super sub. He'll be looking for a race really soon, because he won both of the practice races, and he'll be looking to repeat that form. He'll be starting in third as we have the 30-second countdown, and I'll give a full rundown on the grid if I back out of that, actually, because that caused a big problem last time with the formation lap, so I won't go on there quite yet. And we will go through the grid as they're on the formation lap, what tyres are on, etc. So yeah, good luck to all our contestants, and hope that if there's any viewers out there, then they'll be able to watch along. So we have a formation light, so the 2 lights go green. We'll have a quick look at tyres detail. So we have a real wide range here. So the front 3 cars, they're all starting on hard. They'll be super open to aggression from the start. Scullable, the first of the really aggressive drivers, he's going on softs. Chonk on a pair of mediums. He's in 6th place. He's in 5th place, sorry. He's in a pair of mediums. Bullbag, AJ, they are starting on softs in 6th and 7th place, respectively. Ben, he's on a pair of mediums. Soul Collector in 9th, pair of softs. Matusas on a pair of hards, hoping to go long and make back some of the places that he missed in qualifying due to that disqualification. Toblerone, he's starting in 11th place for the Alfa Romeo team. He'll be starting on softs. Geordie in the Haas, the championship winning car last year, at least of the Drivers' Championship. He'll be starting in 12th. He's on the softs too. OS also looking aggressive at the start. Our 2nd place driver last year. Constructors winner, the highest of the Scarlet Ferraris. He's in 13th. Joker, he is in the Alpine. He's starting in 14th. He is on the softs. Alex Trent G, a newcomer to the league. He'll be starting on the hards, and so will be Captain Baby Fox and the Scarlet Ferrari just behind him. They're 15th and 16th, respectively. McLeod and Fence round out the rest of the drivers. McLeod in the Mercedes, he's on softs, and Fence on a pair of softs as well at the back of the grid. So we will be seeing how this goes. Let's have the lap data on. Let's have telemetry off for the start, full track map, and we'll be in broadcast for the start. And we'll follow the 3rd place car, so actually the 2nd place car. We'll see how that works out. Hide the spectator menu, hide the UI, the bottom right hand corner, as we have the rest of the cars coming through. We'll just go into a spectator cam, broadcast cam angle for a second. Everyone looks to have made it to the grid. There's been no little crashes. A few disqualifications as people don't line up in their marks correctly and they roll back. Soul Collector being one of those. As the final car of fence pulls into place, and we have the start lights coming. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5. And it's go. The first round of the Syndicate Racing League gets underway. Fade has a bit of a tardy start. Struggs takes example of that. Keji's gone back 2 places already. As we have a look on board, Skull the Bull trying to make up time. There's a contact certainly there. There was a McLaren not doing so well. Was there a McLaren not doing so well? I don't think there's a McLaren in this, so I don't think that was quite right. As we see Bullbag dropping down a little bit. Keji didn't have a great start there, lost out 2 places. Chonk, he's looking around the outside of turn 4. Very, very aggressive. And does he make it? He runs very wide there, so I think he's going to have to hand that place back because he does not stick on track limits. As he pulls over and hands that place back, he knows that's not very fair racing, but he gives the place back to Skull accidentally. They have a bit of a moment through there. Keji just does well to keep out of the way. As Ben goes flying down the order, he looks like he's spun at 6 and 7 in the AlphaTauri. So as we come to the end of the first lap, it's Struggs from Fade. They've stayed in the same position. From Skull the Bull, who's gained 2 places on the start. Chonk trying to be aggressive on Fade and take 2nd places. Lost out 2 places. Keji in 5th. AJ, he's in 6th. Bullbag, he's in 7th. Keji only lost 2 places. AJ's maintained. Soul Collectors, he's gained a place back. Ben's gone flying back to the field, so that's a big loser. If we change the detail to be position change, we can see the winners and losers here. A bit more clear detail. Fence has made up huge places. 8 places on the opening lap. Let's hope those are all good. And OS, he's also gone up 4 places. He'll be happy with the start. Fox on a pair of hards. He's also gone up 4 places. A good start for him too. And Toblerone and Ben, they come into the pits. So a new wing here. Is this for the Toblerone? Yeah, it must be. And looks like a new wing being fitted to the AlphaTauri of Ben. So I don't know if they were together in an incident or separate incidents, but only 2 front wing losses or 2 pits at the in the opening lap. As we see Chonk, he spun going through turn 4. Oh, he'll be frustrated with that. Unsure how that's happened. Obviously missed that in my TV direction. So we have Keji, he's 0.3 seconds behind Fade, fighting for every little bit of track, both on the hard tyres, so there's no tyre advantage between the 2. Skull the Bull is 1.5 seconds further down the road from these, but losing time to Struggs already. Struggs setting a tempo of his own out in front that he'll be liking. Keji desperately trying to get ahead. Bullbag even is part of the fight just behind. He's looking at AJ. And we have predicted pit stop strategy, soft, medium. I don't think that includes anyone on hard, so that can be thrown out, as with all the other ADOS pit strategy graphics. I think it's going to be medium hard, hard medium, or soft medium hard, or soft hard medium strats today. As we see AJ, he's having a whiff of Keji. This next lap will be the first time DRS is open. As Keji is on those pair of hards, and Fade is really struggling on this pair of hards. Really, really struggling. Early pace. Our pole sitter. No, it's not our pole sitter. Our second place sitter. He started on the front row, but he's going backwards. As Keji looks to the right, AJ looks to the left. AJ trying to make up room here. Oh, as they go side by side, and looks like AJ's not managed to make that place. Bullbag was hoping to make a place there. Oh, he get a bit squirrely on the traction out of turn 5. Has he maintained the place? Oh, I think Bullbag's just cut through there. Let's ride on board as he goes back under. Oh, there's a bit of contact there. Bullbag's rejoined horrendously. There's a big instant there. AJ's lost some time there, but that was a horrendous rejoin there. I think pushed out not great through turn 8. And a bad rejoin there from Bullbag has sent himself spinning and lost AJ a few places. I'm sure that will be looked at by the stewards at the end. But we have Keji, who has still has made up a place there somewhere. He has made up a place, of course, because Chonk. And now he has DRS on Fade. Fade doesn't want to defend this too much by the looks of it. Just keeps that outside line. And it will be a double DRS activation zone because it's activated. The detection's all the way at the back at the exit of turn 14. So that's the double DOS. No fighting through there. As we have OS Degrees, he is 0.6 behind Soul Collector. He's actually made up a lot of places, 7 places so far. That's He'll be very, very happy with that. AJ's come into the pits by the looks of it. Some damage. Bullbag also had some damage from those incidents through that technical second sector. They'll be hoping for a bit of a change of fortune there. Onto softs has Bullbag has gone. AJ has gone onto a pair of mediums. As we go to score the ball, he has got a 3-second penalty. Let's have a quick look at that. Let's just confirm that. 3-second penalties. Yeah, he's got a 3-second track limits penalty. Ben has a 5-second penalty, possibly for running into the... Oh, we have a safety car out. We have a safety car out. I've missed that. We have a safety car out. Who, what, and why is the safety car for? Because we have all of our runners. But this safety car will reset the field. Some people who have fallen far behind there, Bullbag, Ben, Toblerone, and AJ, they'll be glad with this. Fade has dropped back quite considerably. He has no front wing. So Fade has no front wing. So he's made a mistake. As Scholar Bull has gone into the pits. He's took an early pit stop, taking off the pair of softs he started on, I believe, and it's a pair of hards that he's gone on to. Don't believe what you've just seen. So a pair of softs, switching them for a pair of hards. OS Degrees also taking that early pit stop. He was on a pair of softs as well, I believe. He falls down into 12th position. Chonk, he's on a pair of mediums after his early spin. And we have Captain Rainbow Fox on a pair of hards. He's got involved with no kind of incidents and just made his way up. So is Fence. So the order at the moment is Strugs from Keji. He's 0.5 behind in the safety car. Soul Collector in the Red Bull. He's third. Matusas in 4th place for the Alpine team, making up 6 places from the start. Fence making up quick mash 13 places from the start. Starting at the back of the field, he now finds himself in 5th. How quickly things can turn on his head. Captain Rainbow Fox in 6th, also started from the back of the grid. He's made his way through by keeping instant free and keeping his nose clean, so to speak. Alex Trent G, he's in 7th place. Geordie in his fellow Haas teammate, they line stern at 7th and 8th. Scholar Bull, he's gone for a pit stop quite early on and has put on a pair of hard tyres, ditching the softs. So he'll have hards and mediums left, I believe. McLeod, he is on a pair of softs. I believe they're the ones they started on. Chonk on a pair of mediums. OS Degrees also took an early pit stop. So we have another tour of safety car at least. I think maybe just one more tour as the cars from the back start to bunch up. Does anyone else decide to pit? I can't see anyone else deciding to pit here. But we'll see how the restart goes here. So, frantic action at the start there. Hard to actually get all the incidents in frame. You missed something. Fade has fallen all the way to the back of the field is the crucial thing. Losing a front wing here, bringing out the safety car. But we have all 18 runners still as we enter lap 6. Under yellow flag conditions, Bullbag has retired. He's retired in the pit, so seemingly that would say that he has to withdraw himself from the session. So he's retired himself from the pit. So we have 17 cars. I said we had all of our runners, but their commentators curse that, and we don't. So Fade gains a place up into 17th. And 16th from Ben. Fade just dropping behind, but he's just keeping a bit of a distance here. I'm not quite sure why he's keeping a distance to the back. Is it because he's on a pair of softs and he's just rejoined? Maybe he's just rejoined the back there. So he's gone on a pair of softs. He's a big loser. He really struggled in those opening laps on the hards. Keji was all over him like a bad rash. And Fade actually not having the correct traction and spinning. OS Degrees left the session. Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin soon. Unsure why OS has left, probably just a connection issue. Safety car is in this lap, so we were prepared to go racing again as Strugs takes control of the field and goes painfully slow. Not his fault, obviously. F122 really limits you, so you don't do funny things with a safety car, but maybe a bit too overzealous, especially in social lobbies, which are league races. So we have Keji. He's in 2nd place. Had a terrible start. Went down to 5th place, but slowly gained those positions back, kept his nose clean, got back into the front as Strugs tries to pick a moment to floor it. And he's flooring it now, out of turn 14, and we go green again. Keji looking at Struggs. We have a spin at the back. It's McLeod. He's spun. And Fence takes a place on Matusas. Or does he actually keep it? Matusas he just falls behind Matusas. So Fence gains a place on that restart. Soul Collector in third. He's 4 tenths behind Keji. Keji and Struggs will put on the pace here and try to break away. Struggs will be slightly annoyed with that safety car. He had a good gap of 2 or 3 seconds that he's going to have to rebuild. But we'll see if the cold tyres will affect him in any way. We have Chonk and OS. OS looks to have made some positions here. We go on board with OS for the turns of 6 and 7. As we watch the cars dive through that corner, and they're going quite multiple cars wide. We'll follow OS to watch this battle in front. Chonk, always the elbows out driver, looking forward at Skull, trying to take any bit off him. He snatches place. He goes right, he goes left, he gets onto the curb, makes a mistake. You have to say, Chonk, I don't know really what he was doing there, but he doesn't lose a position, but he does get a warning for going out wide there that he'll probably want to dispute. But actually, if you're driving like that, you're going right and left, you're gonna get warnings. So you can't really overtake into that middle sector. So sometimes it's better to be a bit patient, and he wasn't patient there. He's desperate to get past Skull, as Geordie is a bit of a cork in the bottle here. 2 tenths behind. Can Skull get by? As I get a notification on my phone. Can Skull get by? No, he can't. So it looks like it's going to be another lap behind safety car. Matusas is all over Fence as well, not wanting to lose contact with that front group. Soul Collector doing well to keep up there. So Skull on pair of mediums here. Let's have a look at the tyre life. Oh, and there's a spinner. It's Captain Rainbow Fox. He's spun on the exit of. Oh, and he gets a penalty there. He spins on the exit of turn 5. Gets it horribly wrong. Down to 10th place. That's a shame for him, but he's on those hard, so he can still go long. That promotes Geordie up to place of 4th. Soul Collector on a pair of softs, 7 laps old, managing to keep pace with these 2 front runners. Good pace from Soul here, even if there is a tyre offset. Keji all over. Ooh, and AJ looks like he's got past OS through turn 12. You don't see overtake too often around there. Obviously, just talking about Chonk and Skull. The lap before went horribly wrong for Chonk as he tried to dink into the right, dink to the left. DRS enabled is on this lap, so we won't see DRS open this lap, but we will see DRS open the lap before. Shrugs at the front hasn't opened a gap of 5 tenths. He needs to go gap more of 5 tenths, so a gap of seconds to break that DRS toe. As we see AJ, he looks like he's making a move on Chonk, putting Chonk under some pressure here. Where will he go? Oh, he goes up into the inside. Is there space left? He has a space on the left as he gets a better drive through mid-corner. There's contact mid-corner. And that is a broken front wing, but it looks like AJ still has control. He's just going to have to let the cars go by. Geordie also spinning just ahead, turn 4, in a similar place where Sebastian Vettel did. Or was it? Sebastian Vettel did in the rain in 3 practice 3. So we have another safety car. Very overzealous today with the broken wings. We have another safety car. Probably for broken wings on racing line, but that seems a bit too much. We still have 17 runners. The safety car game continues into F122. As we go through the order, does anyone decide to pit? I don't think Struggs and Keji will be. They'll be happy on their hards. Soul Collector, he's run 8 laps on a pair of softs, so possibly he'll be thinking to pit. 4 laps of Skull, he won't pit. Does Soul Collector's pit? Let's have a quick look. Yes, it looks like Soul Collector's going to pit. We'll follow him on board to see what tyres he goes on to. And we'll try and keep an eye on anyone else who may pit. You're thinking Geordie might. He's got a broken front wing, so he will be pitting. AJ also going to be pitting, frustratingly, off those mediums. Only 5 laps used on those mediums. So he'll be having to probably go on them late on the race. This is why I think softs are the right tyre at the early race, because you're going to make mistakes. I think softs are the right tyre until mid-race, because there's going to be plenty of safety cars, plenty of opportunities to get back in it if softs are the wrong tyre. But, if you make a mistake, you can go on to another pair of softs, especially with the resetting. So we have Geordie pitting. We have Joker in the pits. He's gone to a fresh pair of softs. Ben also onto a fresh pair of softs, listening to me, obviously, as they go onto a pair of softs. because it's, there's going to be more instances. There's 17 drivers. It's Hungary. It's a tight technical circuit. I think if you feel like you're not crystal clear, you're not going to be 100%, there's an instant in you, pick the pair of softs, because if you run out of mediums and hards later on in the race, you'll be putting on a scrub set. You will have less pace than the people around you if they've saved their medium and hards. So, people like Struggs and Keji, they've managed to stay on their hards. They're fine, no problem. Matusas as well, although he's pitted onto his 8-lap use hards, so he's pitted and repitted, so maybe an instant there if he's pitted onto those so quickly again. But I guess he's got his tyre strap out of the way, so he could go to the end technically, but I doubt he will. So softs, I feel until the mid-race distance, softs are the right tyre to be on. Maybe lap 20, 25, you can start to think, I've got a fresh pair of hards, let's go on them and see how far I can take them. But until you get into that rhythm and, safety cars aren't coming out over and over again, it looks like they are. It looks like it's very overzealous in this game. We've had one DNF and that was not a kind of instant cause kind of thing. It looks like it's coming out for broken front wings, which we weren't seeing in the practice races, but it's interesting to see that. As we have Keji in second place, Struggs in first. No change for them in those opening laps. Scullable back up to third. He pitted in the first safety car window. Yeah, I think he pitted in the first safety car window. And we have Matusas at the back. It's a game of snakes and ladders, the Syndicate Racing League. It really is. 1 minute you're on top, like Fox doing so well. Then he's down to 10th. Now he's back up to 7th. And we'll just have a quick look while we're under safety car at what penalties people have. 3 people with penalties. And if we look at that, penalties, 3 seconds are for Chonk, Scullable, and Captain Raven Fox. Ben has come into the pits and served his 5-second penalty. So yeah, a game of sneaks and ladders so far as we go on to lap 11. Well, we are on lap 11 of the Hungarian Grand Prix, round 1 of the second season of the Syndicate Racing League. If you're watching for the first time, click the link to our Discord. We race on Xbox, but obviously when crossplay comes in, we'll open up the leagues to further people if the system is good enough, if the net code is good enough. This is our first race on this game. First proper race, that is. We did 2 practice races, which Keji spanked basically both of them. And we aren't all together yet, but looks like Matusas will just come through and join in the final sector. So if he can join before that safety car is fully through turn 13, that penultimate corner, it may just lurch in here. There we are, safety car's in this lap. So not much time to warm those tyres up, but it will come in when everyone is together, even if it's in sector 3, as long as the safety car hasn't gone round. So Keji will look to make... Struggs has gone early here. Struggs has gone nice and early. Built up a 7/10 lead. Chonk perennially elbows out. He's only 2/10 behind Skull the Bull. Will he be looking to make any moves here? If we go onto here and quickly change on to tyre detail, what are we saying here? Chonk's on 11 laps medium, so may have a bit of a pace advantage over the hard here. As we go on board, it's 3 wide going into the second corner. And is there contact? Chonk just having to ride that in a curb, which is so slippery. OS Degrees, he's back into a position of 5th. The Scarlet Ferrari's making up good ground of his early phase. If we look at Fade, where's Fade got to? Fade is up to 6th. Fade is up to 6th, that's really, really good. So he's up to 6th after making that mistake and running around at the back. Just doing the right thing in the safety cars there. Fade on the back of OS Degrees. The gap at the front is still a second, so we're not going to keep an eye on that. 1.5 to Skull. He's a bit of a cork in the bottle here. 5 tenths to Chonk, 5 tenths to OS, 2 tenths to Fade as they follow through this tight technical sector. But there may not be real overtaking opportunities for another couple of laps. Maybe lap 15 we'll see the first DRS overtakes. But can someone squeeze by, use a bit of VRS up a bit earlier on? Fade will certainly hope to make up those grounds. He has a tyre advantage, softs, but they start to go off quickly. Another 5 laps and they will be dead. And he'll want to exercise the devil out of those tyres. As he's 4 tenths down, OS Degrees closing in on Chonk. Has a look, thinks better of it. Takes that wider line. Fade sitting there. Does he want to take the place back? Doesn't get as good as drive out of there, but OS does. looking around the back of Chonk, snipping at his heels as they go through turn 3. Takes a wider entry, but I don't think this is overtaking opportunity. So he keeps back, and really you just got to keep back as Keji. He gets a 3-second warning, so that's 3 warnings he's had here. He gets 3-second time penalties rather, so he's had 3 warnings. So that's a bit of breathing room for Shrugs. He knows he's doing better tit for tat on the warnings, and that just gives him a bit of a buffer, so he doesn't need to necessarily keep ahead. But obviously it's a long way to go, so track position is important. Fade right on the back of OS for this technical sector. Talking to Fade earlier in the week, he told me that his setup was perfect for the second sector, but he may be struggling with straight line speed. So we'll be relying on DRS to make any moves on those straights. But he was hoping to stay out in the front, but made a mistake on those hard early doors. As we have Captain Rainbow Fox, he's not too far away from AJ, but we'll go back to the battle between 4th, 5th, and 6th, as Chonk has fallen behind Skull a little bit. It's at the crossover period for when those tyres get a bit better, the hards, than the mediums. And there's no DRS this lap, but maybe next lap there will be DRS. As we have a look at Fade, he's looking on the outside as OS and Chonk, they start to move over. Can Fade just keep it clean? OS is right up the backside of Chonk. Let's go on board with him. Does he want to force the issue? Chonk keeps it kind of short through there. And OS just runs a little bit wide. Fade has a look around the outside of turn 5. Can he keep that place stick? He's not going to have the inside, but OS relinquishes that position. He knows that it's a long ways to go. He relinquishes that from the inside. Maybe feels he didn't have enough of his car in front and didn't want to force an issue there. So smart driving from OS there. And Chonk, he has a bit of a moment. That lets Fade and OS through. Chonk has a bit of a moment out of turn 8, I believe. As Chonk back up in... I think OS has fallen down here. I think OS has not been able to capitalise. He's had a moment himself. Oh, the game of snakes and ladders. He's not been able to capitalise. Can McLeod take him, or does he slot Justin Head? No, he lets McLeod by. He'll have some hot tyres out now at the moment. So, shot Fade up into 4th. He'll be hunting down Skull now. Chonk 2 seconds down after his moment. AJ right on the back of him with DRS. As we go into turn 1, he goes to the outside, AJ. Tries to open up the corner. Does he keep track position through there? As we go on board, he has another squirt of DRS. This should be simple into this second corner. As we have Captain Rainbow Fox also wanting to join the party here. And Chonk just tries to keep that around the outside, but yeah, a bit of contact there. You'd have to look at that again to see whose fault that is, but Chonk ends up falling behind. Maybe fighting too hard, maybe should have given that position back if you were thinking about it, just giving up on that position, because AJ had the better run through that corner. But you'd have to see it again. Soul Collector now on Chonk. Chonk steadily making instants through the pack and falling backwards. He's either doing supreme overtakes or having instants and falling down the pack. Chonk is. He's a good one to follow. As we go on board with Keji, still 9/10 behind Strugs. Just into the DRS, they're flirting right with the extremities of it. Keji has a bit of a better drive through there, gains about half a tenth. And that takes him to inside the 9/10, the 1 second bracket. He has DRS, but he's going to be too far back. Just over a second as you get onto that straight. He's going to be too far back. Fade is going to start hunting down Skull the Bull over those laps. He's got 10 lap old softs though, so really, really start to get a bit shaky from here on out. AJ, he's got some clean air, but defending from Captain Rainbow Fox on those hards. The hards really are quite a decent race tyre around here. They give you a lot of life for a lot of time. Only the first couple of laps are a bit rough on them. Fox has DRS on AJ. These two stalwarts of the league. They've been here since the start. Founding members. And have to live for another day there. Soul Collector also trying to pick up any scraps that's happening. And Chonk right behind him on that. Oh, crikey. So what's going on further down the pack? Looks like OS Degrees has a lot of clean air in front of him. Ben quite close behind Joker. Joker close behind the two Sass. They have a lot better tyres, but again those softs are crucially about to get too hot, overheat, and then get the rest of the tyre life out. As Ben Fence, he has retired from the session, retired in the pits, so presumably has to remove himself from the session. As we have Soul 4 tenths behind here. 4 tenths behind Fox. 4 tenths behind AJ. AJ's 6-lap-old softs, they start to get a bit crap, for want of a better word, as we watch as Fence's AI will come back onto the track and pull over to the left. Absolutely hate to see it, but anyway, he's gone now, so that's fine. Chonk gains a place. No, he doesn't. Matusas and yeah, there's someone battling there. Oh, it's Fade. It's Fade. Oh, he's gone into pits. Fade has gone into pits, so he's had to ditch those softs. Gone onto those mediums. He'll be looking to take them for as long as possible. So ditch those softs. They do get a little bit worse for wear. Maybe another 3-4 laps for AJ, and he'll have to be looking at the same. Same for Ben and Joker. Fox not managing to find pace and go through and take that 4th position. 16-lap-old hards for Struggs, Keji, Fox. They all started on the hards and haven't pitted so far. But finding you can see how much AJ is actually struggling on the softs as we go through here. This technical sector really requires, a lot of mechanical tyre grip, and he's not getting it from those tyres. Running wide there, that could be a warning, really frustrating warnings, but you have to ditch these tyres really quite quickly. So the softs were the right tyre to go on to, but we haven't had a safety car for a while. But, putting on those mediums a bit later may be the right thing to do. As we have a spinner, that's a spinner of Fade. He's spun on those new tyres. He'll be disappointed there. Spun on a new fresh set of tyres. Not sure what's happened there, but having a bit of an inconsistent race so far. Fade. Quick, but not consistent. As Fox and AJ, they're battling like mad dogs through turn 1. AJ has the inside line here. Has AJ got enough? Oh, it's so difficult. AJ runs them as wide as possible, but I think Fox gets the job done. Now, will Soul Collector want to battle through here? AJ up the inside. We have prime position here. Does Fox? Fox runs wide. I think he'll have to give that place back. Or does he keep the place? I think Fox ran wide there, so gained an advantage by running wide. So my book probably has to give that back, but we'll see if he does. AJ giving a place back to Soul Collector. That forces the issue, really. That forces the issue, because now if Fox wants to give that place back, he has to give 2 places back. So I don't think Fox is going to want to do that, so he may just have to take a slap on the wrist from the stewards. They'll investigate that off the race. Fox, he is on, penalty-wise, a 3-second penalty there. So Soul Collector pushing Fox on that pair of mediums now. As Keji, he's just fallen out of the DRS zones and Struggs with really consistent pace here. Really, really good pace. Chonk, he's now only 6 tenths down on AJ as we watch AJ's tyres fall off a deathly cliff. And that's why AJ got out of the way of Soul. As Soul Collector has made a move on Fox as we go through that corner. There's a bit of contact through turn 1. It's a double DOS for Soul Collector, so it's not likely that Fox can fight back here. Soul Collector on much fresher mediums. Able to make a bit of a move here. Fox just got to let that one go, I think. But they're now 13 seconds down on those leading trios. Skull really managed to keep up well here. He's on a pair of hards himself. So managed to keep it well with those top 3. So he's even in with a shout, He had a bit of a shaky race around France, caused a few incidents, but he took that as a learning outcome and kind of reconfigured himself for this race, and he's been really clean here, keeping himself out of trouble for the majority of the race here. So it's lap 20 of the Hungarian Grand Prix, round 1 of the Syndicate Racing League. Struggs is leading from 1 second from Keji. They're on similarly length tyres, have yet to pit, along with Captain Rainbow Fox in 5th. Only drivers yet to pit, I believe. Let's have a quick look and see if there's a pit stop. So there is a stops. So, 1 stop from Scholar Bull. He's gone onto a pair of mediums. Or is it hards? He's gone to a pair of hards. We have a spinner. Oh, it's is it OS Degrees? Who's slow through sector 1? It's Chonk. He's slow through sector 1. OS Degrees, he'll be wanting to make up ground on him there. They've been battling like nutters for the last year, it feels like, these two. The Ferraris and Chonk, the personal vendetta there that isn't really that personal. But Chonk's had an incident there and is in the clutch of OS on 4-lap fresher mediums. Scoldable slowly dropping back from that battling duo at the front. Keji flirting with the DRS. Strugs can't make a mistake. Keji can't make a mistake between that duo. Otherwise, it would give the other a lot of breathing room. As we see Toblerone going to the pit, he's now a lap down. Crucially, he's a lap down, which is a struggle for him. If there's a safety car now, he'd have to hope that those front three manage to. He'd have to hope that those front three also pit, and that would get him back onto the lead lap. So a lap down here, AJ catching, but he'll probably have to give a place to Soul Collector even. The fourth place Red Bull. That will probably give you blue flags pretty quickly, and then that's to Fox, and then you start just falling into free fall. Really difficult. 21 laps in. There we are. Blue flags are waved, and Carrington bail out the way on the inside there. And Fox will be next up soon. So you just start to fall backwards, and it's really difficult. As Matusas gains place on AJ there. AJ on 11-lap-old softs. These softs are going to stink, basically. He's already used up a pair of mediums or hards. I can't quite remember, AJ. So he's going to have to switch out and admit a loss here. The only other thing he can do is really goal hang for the safety car. But with not much close racing at the moment, it's unlikely that will happen unless someone spins and there's a front wing on the racing line, and then another safety car comes out for no reason. Keji still Strugs managed to keep him at arm's length, that 1 second away, right on the limit. It's good driving from these two. Consistent driving, lap in, lap out. Gaining time on the car behind, maybe just working together. Maybe Keji knows, well, we build a gap here. I can maybe go for attack them later, build some EOS. Let's have a look at their EOS usages, see how they're doing. So Strugs has 48%. Keji has a lot less. Keji's using a lot more EOS to stay in range here. So Keji having to work harder seemingly by the EOS charts, but he's now under that 9-second barrier. Can he maintain that to the DRS zone? Maybe Keji's thinking now is the time to strike, get into racing distance, go for the attack, or maybe pit. They both have a gap to pit into here. Captain Rainbow Fox, and there's an instant OS Chonk. There's carnage on the racing line. Chonk is reversing out the way. Just there's been some kind of incident between those two. Yeah, not surprising really. 21-lap-old mediums for Chonk, so he's on the mediums he maybe started with. They have starting to go off on OS 17-lap-old mediums. They've had a bit of a ding-dong together. Keji fundamentally couldn't keep within that toe. Couldn't keep within that DRS, and Strugs has used a bit more DRS as well, maybe 10% to push out of there. So Keji pushing, but Strugs responding with the DRS usage to keep out of that DRS window. Because that DRS window effectively gives the car behind the opportunity to save charge and get a bit closer. It's about 3/10 a lap, 4/10 a lap. So if you're within a second, you can just cruise behind. They've run both quite wide there. That'd be a warning for both, I reckon. As we have looked at the battles through, we have a bit of a battle for 11th, 12th, and 13th. 13th place is Chonk. Spinning or overtaking, that's what Chonk does. What is God doing? Land or air. And he's painting trees. He's going for an overtake on Geordie. And he makes it stick. He'll have another DRS boost, but so does Geordie in the Haas. Chonk will be after OS Degrees, trying to get payback for any kind of incident that happened between them. Not sure what happened, so I could be able to put blame on either of those two drivers. But building a bit of a gap OS, and Chonk really, those mediums, they could probably go for another 5 laps before they start to pit. Those hards, they'll probably go to about lap 30 to 40 before they'll want to pit onto a pair of mediums to go to the end. So the closest gap is Keji at the front, and Keji, has he had DRS? I'm unsure if he's had DRS, but he is closer this time round, and DRS usage have remained roughly the same. There's a yellow flag out. It's Chonk again. He's spun. He's got no front wing. He's got no front wing. So, obviously had a spin out of turn 11 there. Made contact with that inside wall. There's a yellow flag. Someone's had a spin. Looks like AJ possibly had a spin. Unsure whether there was a yellow flag actually on the pit straight there, but Chonk having to come in for a pit stop. 5 seconds plus, so we're looking probably about a 27-second pit stop. He'll still be far ahead of Toblerone, but he will fall. Fundamentally, here's a big thing. He will fall behind the leading trio, so he'll have to stay in that kind of range before a safety car comes out and hope. He's now lapped Chonk fundamentally here, so that could be curtains for a good place for him, a good points place. He's behind McLeod by quite a bit. Toblerone he's way ahead of Toblerone, but he's going to have to stay up with those 3 cars at the front. Shrugs from Keji from Scullable. He's going to have to stay up with them because otherwise, if safety car comes out and they pit, then he's fine. But if he loses any more time, he will be in a very bad situation, a sticky situation. So he's going to go on a pair of halves, and I will hope he'll be able to make those to the end. As we have Keji 8 tenths behind as he goes into tricky second sector here. Very technical. We're right on board. Seems to be keeping it nicely in the white lines, but losing a little bit of time with Strugs here, and it's crucial. I'm saying the word crucial here to stay in, within 1 second as you come up to the exit of turn 13, which this is turn 13 here, and he's just above DRS. So tricky. Will any of these go for the undercut? Force a strategy change? Maybe go for a 2-stopper? It doesn't look like it. I think they're both going for 1-stoppers. So a battle at the front between those two. Fade has slowly made him way himself back up to the back up here. I think just through gaining places from other people's instance. He's slowly waking his way back up, making heavy weather really of this race so far. He's got very, very good pace, but just making a few mistakes. Running wide there. Still no penalty though, which is good for him. We'll have a quick look at the penalties at this stage. So 3 seconds for all the cars ahead of Fade, except from Strugs, OS Degrees, Joker, and Alex are the other cars that don't have penalties. And it's only Toblerone right at the back who has a 6-second, and AJ has a 5-second penalty. She should be able to serve that in the race. Is it Joker has come into the pits? Joker's coming in for a pit stop. He's on a pair of softs at the moment. 15-lap old softs, so they had done their turn. And what is he going to switch on here? He's going to switch on to a pair of hards, and they take those other ones off and they magically become hards because that's really useful. So onto a pair of hards there. They could probably go to the end. And it's AJ who's also pitted. He's going on to another pair of softs. Is that right? Oh, he's broken his front wing. So he went onto a pair of hards, but struggling on that tyre compound. And he's broken his front wing. So frustrating. But we still have... Oh, has he got DRS, Keji? I'm not sure he has got DRS, but he clearly has better straight line speed because he's gaining quite a bit of time on those straights, not using too much DRS as well. It's that middle sector that he can't stay in the window for. So he has better straight line speed. So once he gets fundamentally and really into that DRS range, once he gets down to about 6 tenths, he'll have an opportunity to overtake. And this is his best chance yet. I don't think I've seen him quite as close to 7 tenths as we get round, but this is the sector where he'll fall away as we go into the right-hander of 6, followed by a quick left-hander of 7. Clips the inner curbs quite nicely, but just start to lose a bit of time through here because it looks like Strugs has a higher downforce setup as Keji runs a bit wide, and Keji has that time penalty, and Strugs doesn't look like he has a time penalty at the moment. So unsure how many warnings he has, of course, but in that battle, it's quite important to not have any penalties when you run so closely with another driver, as he's 9 tenths behind. Keji will have DRS on this lap. He will have DRS, but Struggs has a lot more EOS here, a lot more EOS burn, and Struggs is using it to keep in front. A better exit as well. Better exit. I think using up a bit of EOS, but it's a double DRS, of course, for Keji, as Chonk gets out of the way of the lead cars. Oh, sorry, McLeod gets out of the way of the lead cars. Of course, Chonk's already been lapped. We have a yellow flag. It's AJ. AJ has spun. AJ has spun on those softs through that corner. And it's Chonk coming around now. He'll be sniffing an opportunity here. He always is sniffing an opportunity. Does he actually send it? Those softs will be very, very hot. Hard to keep cool as well. Looks at inside corner. Keji has fallen back here. 1.5 seconds. Struggs has put the foot down here. He's just set a fastest middle sector, Struggs. So Struggs may be thinking it's hammer time. Struggs comes up to the back of Joker here. I believe this is Joker. Chonk's received another penalty. And Keji falling behind here. Joker's already saying he's laps down though, so this must be 2 laps down he's flirting with here. Not quite sure. Oh no, that's not laps down. That's his tyre usage. That makes sense. As we have Chonk. He's in the wall and he's doing a kind of Raganathan 5-point turn. It's not been a day for Chonk. He's looking for a window to twist this one out and he's going to jump after here. And very slow. We also have a spun car. Is that Joker or is that Matusas who's spun? It's Fade. It's Fade again. And it's spinning galore here. We have a car. It must be AJ. He's spun again. On the exit, or the entry to turn 4 and the exit of turn 3. We have Fade spun. There's just a lot of spinners. I think Fade has spun again, struggling with those hot tyres. And yeah, that's tricky for him. He's having a tricky day. AJ spun again. Probably worth just sticking it in AI and letting the AI cool your tyres down. They're at 60 today, so they won't be very quick, but they at least won't spin it. That's my advice. Oh, there's some kind of incident between AJ and Chonk at that corner. Difficult. AJ's really suffering with these tyres. Just trying to cool them down. You can see he's not driving with any kind of pace or pleasure. Just trying to keep those back tyres from glowing amber in his telemetry. And there we are. It just goes. It snaps. So he'll be just trying to make it back to the pits as he flicks by, and there's Ben quickly approaching. He gets out of the way of Ben, and he tries to rejoin. And is it OS? He just blocks OS. No, gets out of the way of OS as well. As AJ's just trying to get back to the pits here, I reckon, to cool those tyres down. Having a bad time on those softs. Probably pressure's too high, too much downforce on his car. It pirouettes again. It's we'll see if he can make it back to the pits. Keji's slowly starting to lose a bit of ground on Struggs here. Struggs and Keji, they come round again. AJ 2 laps down. And AJ on that inside curb, struggling. Just going to let the Alpha by. And he is going to go again, so he's not going to go into the pits. But he's just going to try and cool down those tyres. So as we go back to the lead, Keji 1.7 seconds down. And we have a spinner, Alex Trent G in the Haas, in 10th position. He cuts back across, but safely there's a gap to do that. But Geordie comes through, and Alex just having to wait for a window to rejoin here. Also letting his tyres cool off just a little bit. And, oh, is it AJ? He's spun. He's a DNF by the looks of things on the exit of turn 1. Possibly another spin, and he's called it quits. So unfortunate for AJ. Had been keeping good pace, but just a string of spins have overheated his tyres and put him in a difficult position tyre strategy-wise. So, Matusas coming out of the pits on mediums. Ben being the closest car behind, roughly 2.5 seconds, but on 7-lap old softs, so probably won't be able to push to close that gap. We still have the front runners of Keji and Struggs on those hard tyres. Fox also not yet to pit. Good strategy from Fox has elevated them up from the back of the grid. Disappointing qualifying, being in 16th position. And he's got up to 5th, and he's been clean and consistent, to be honest. He had a bit of a spin at one moment, I think. That made him lose a few positions, but he's been fine. Really, really good to see Fox come back at it like that. Keji, so it's looking like Struggs is on top here, because Keji has 2 time penalties. He's just gone wide out of turn 4 and really struggling with traction and keeping his car in the limits. So he's got a 6-second penalty. Struggs, no penalty so far, so you can probably expect 3 warnings over the course of a race. It's very hard, very rare for drivers not to have any warnings over the course of a race, especially at a track like Hungary with corners like turn 4, with that technical second sector, where it's so easy just to bleed out of the track and flirt with track limits. So we have Keji, and I think he's really trying to push to keep this gap from to stop the rot. And it's a good performance from Struggs here. He's really, really putting Keji, let's not say in his place, but giving him a reality check after so easily cruising to those first 2 victories in the practice rounds. Now the points are being scored. Struggs has turned up. What this race needs is a good safety car, to be honest, because there's so many gaps. Fade getting a time penalty there. That's his first one. 3 seconds. So only cars without time penalties: OS Degrees, Joker, Alex, and the leader Struggs. Having no time penalties really can be quite helpful as you get to the latter stages of the race. If there's a safety car, someone has a 12-second penalty, you only have a 3-second penalty, that place is basically yours. You just need to keep that gap, get in front of them. You don't need to push too hard with that person. It basically buys you 3 positions by keeping it in the confines of the track. It's a really important part of consistency and scoring good in these league races. We only have 3 cars out so far. AJS Inden, he's our most recent retirement, struggling with tyre attempts, I believe, and spinning out, unfortunately. A few laps ago, we have OS Degrees. Did he just get a bit of a poke from Chonk up there as Chonk comes back through? Was it Chonk? I'm going to presume it's Chonk, because they've been at it like nutters and unlapping himself here, but then he'll get blue flags straight away, surely. It won't be long before he gets blue flags here. He runs wide. So I don't know if he got a poke there trying to unlap himself, but Chonk with better pace at the moment. Let's look at the tyre deltas. So we have... Keji has pitted. Keji has pitted for mediums. I was just wondering when he'd pit. But Keji has pitted for mediums. He'll be hoping to go for the undercut, as there is a stricken car at the exit of turn 14, our final corner, and he's waiting just off the racing line, Alex. He had an issue, but this has caused a safety car. I think this has caused a safety car, him being off there for that long, but difficult there. I think Matusas having to give that place back quite frustratingly, as Alex is a lapped car for Matusas. But we have a safety car here, and that gives Struggs opportunity to pit, and Keji takes that gamble early, but actually loses out through the pit stop transitions and doesn't get that opportunity to undercut, because it's a quicker stop now. So as long as Struggs can get it closed down, okay, doesn't get a penalty by looks of it. Chalk's retired from the session. He's took this opportunity to nope out of it after being a few laps down there, and puts on a pair of mediums, so he's feeling mediums to the end. Another 35 laps of that, maybe a splash and dash on softs as we get closer. How many cars are actually on the lead lap? Let's have a look at the interval graphic. Let's turn that to the leader. So we have 8 cars, I believe, on the lead lap. Is Fade still on the lead lap? I'm unsure. Yeah, Fade is the final car on the lead lap. With Joker. Oh, Joker's trying to go offline there, but you shouldn't really do that. You can't get by. He's just got to accept that he's a lap down. Very frustrating. He's so close to getting a lap by, but obviously Struggs will want to use Joker as a bit of a stopgap between those two cars. So, does anyone else go in the pits? It looks like Alex is pitting. He's going onto a pair of hards. Yeah, gap from leader doesn't really work because it's saying Alex is only plus 108 down on leader, but I know he's multiple laps down. So that is a struggle. That isn't reading correctly, but we'll get a better look at it once the grid reforms. Behind safety car, we have Skolapol pulling up into the safety car line here. In front of him, he has a few lap cars. Captain Rainbow Fox and Sol coming through here. Halfway through the race, it's really Fade who's struggled the most, I think, out of the remaining runners. He's had a few sprints, had 3 stops already, when really his the optimum strategy is just to pit once. 4 stops for Toblerone. He's feedback down. Fade lucky just to be on the lead lap there. That still gives him chance. That keeps him in the shout for the race win, because now you lap down. It's just a very tricky position to be in. Is anyone in chat who's retired? So halfway through the race, it really looks like the race battle is between Struggs and Keji, and it's a massive advantage to Struggs at the moment because he's got no penalties to 6 seconds that Keji has. If we have a look at the penalty situation, Scullable only has 3 seconds worth. So does Sol. Sol's had a very, very good race here. Yeah, been the lead Red Bull throughout most of the race and kept it nice, clean and consistent in 4th place. 5th place for Fox. Did he make the opportunity to switch mediums? He did. So Fox has mediums. There's some kind of shenanigans between Sol and McLeod and some safety car 5-second ignoring stuff going on. You hate to see it, but Sol will be able to serve that in a penalty, and if it's deemed not his fault, then he could always get that removed if he appealed it through the correct procedure. And Sol tries to go by the side of McLeod. I don't quite know why he's doing that. He's just got to stay in place. McLeod knows he can't give a place back. I'm not quite sure what Sol's doing there, to be honest. That's going to cause an incident doing stuff like that. So you just gotta, he's on the lead lap. McLeod will get lapped straight after. Trying to force your way through is it's actually against the rules. So that's a penalisable offence. That is possibly why they've had an incident so far. So hopefully only one more lap of this safety car period. Everyone has reformed behind the safety car. We have Struggs from Keji, Skull, Soul Collector in 4th, Captain Rainbow Fox in 5th, Matusas in 6th. Ben in the AlphaTauri, only AlphaTauri left. He's in 6th position. There's been some kind of spin from Sol, has there? Oh no, Sol has retired from the race. Okay. Sol has retired from the race. Unsure why that is. Maybe he got disqualified? I have no idea why Sol was retired from the race there. I also had to go back in for a third time. So Toblerone's had issues with the pit stops. Yeah, this game, the auto button doesn't really work, Toblerone. So you've gotta make sure it says yes when you want to get that wing changed. Even if it's like orange and it's really causing you some pain, it doesn't actually tell you. So we have safety car in this lap. Yeah, so my advice there is just really focus on when you enter, are your tyre stripes sorted? And before you enter, are they going to fix my wing? That's really frustrating that you've had to pit so many times because of that. Soul Collector out. We have a restart here as Struggs. When does he go? I think he's gone now. Out onto the finish straight. Skull the ball. Attempting to overtake a back marker here. Captain Rainbow Fox will hope to follow through quickly. There's all sorts of cars getting out in and out of the way there. It's quite hard to follow what's going on, but Keji, only five tenths behind here. Who's going to have the better pace on those mediums? Medium tyres looking great with this trim detail of the Aston Martin. Captain Rainbow Fox going past another back mark. I think that's McLeod. Yep, it's the only remaining Mercedes in contention. Oh, having a bit of a moment there on the exit of 6, and that lets Matusa sneak through. So it looks like we've sorted the lap cars out here. McLeod's still falling backwards, so he's still getting lapped. Fade coming up to the back of McLeod here. McLeod just struggling to get out of the way there. It's really hard to keep out of the way through that technical sector, especially if you're getting blue flags. So OS degrees from Fade. We'll switch the detail back to interval. And let's have a quick look at fastest lap. Fastest lap of 121 from Struggs. Yeah, makes sense actually. 129 from Keji was partly hampered by the safety car. So we'll see who can set fast laps here. But the interval, 1.2 second lead Struggs has got. He's using a bit of pace out of those medium tyres. Blown looks like he's disconnected. See if I can. We have a spinner. It's a Haas. Looks like it's a Haas of Alex, our 13th place runner. He'll now be hoping to stay in it to get some points if there's enough DNFs. Only 3 more DNFs required for that to be the case. So we have Keji 1.2 down. Scullable, he's on a pair of mediums. I think he's been on those mediums before, though, if I'm not on. Doesn't look like he has been on those mediums, actually. Went a lap earlier. So he started on softs, went to hard, then mediums. Matusas, he's on a pair of mediums that have been on before, so they may be a bit sketched towards the end of the race. He'll be hoping for a late safety car, and I'm sure there will be one. 50 to 56 laps, you can be able to switch onto a pair of softs and get to the end. We have a tight race between McLeod and Fade here, but I don't think those gaps are quite correct. McLeod is a lap down, I believe. Fade 1.3 down, 1.5 down on OS on that hard tyre that he started the race on. That's what he switched on to. So Keji, he's closed down the gap to Strugs here. Strugs has had a little bit of an issue on those laps. Keji using up a little bit of a VOS to get into that window. Is DRS activated this lap or is it next lap? It's activated this lap, so he's 8 tenths behind. He sets a 1:19.6 fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He'd be taking that point if things finished as they are. He opens that again. And does Strugs use a bit of EOS to defend? He has used a bit of EOS to defend. And just making a mistake through that corner has cost a couple of attempts for Keji. But he's in that DRS window. And this is where he's been frustratingly for the whole race. And he's got 1 lap older tyres as well. He didn't manage to pull off the undercut because of that safety car. So interesting racing between these two. Bit tardy through there. Not a great exit of 6, but gets a lot closer to the apex through 7 and 8 as we go through turn 9 and the quick right-hander of turn 11. Still in 7 tenths. I think Keji's enjoying these mediums more than Strugs. As we have Alex Trent spin at turn 4 again, he's really struggled with balance around that corner. And we have positional moves for Geordie and McLeod. Go down. Joker closing in on McLeod. Goes for an overtake before turn 12. Does he make it stick? He does, but he'll fundamentally he'll have to rescind DRS here. So McLeod going backwards here after the safety car. And looks like there's a car who's spun. It was Toblerone, he spun. Going through turn 14, sorry, the final corner. He'll have DRS McLeod here. Keji has been closing down the gap at the front. 5 tenths as we go into turn 5. Starting the second sector a couple of corners ago. And this is where he's been struggling. So gets a good drive through there, better than last lap. And yeah, just vibing these mediums a lot more. Maybe this is when Keji decides time to bring out my practice race form. But Strugs holding on well in front. No penalties as yet. As we approach the 43rd lap of the race, Keji will be closer than he has been before. Strugs having a lot of EOS in his pocket. So has Keji. 7 tenths. So it's as close as he's been before. And he just can't pull that gap. Strugs uses quite a bit of EOS out of that corner. And just pulls that gap. Does Strugs use any EOS here? No, a little bit of EOS usage maybe. No EOS usage. Out of turn 1. And it's 6 tenths. So Keji just wanting to use up his tyres a bit more to put the pressure on Strugs. You know, one mistake from Strugs here and it's Keji's race. But equally, one mistake from Keji and it's Strugs' race. These two competitors are pushing each other and another penalty for Keji. That's 9 seconds he has now. Strugs can really... He can take it slow, to be honest. He's got to get 9 more warnings between that here and the end of the race to be at the same place as Keji is. So, you know, it's looking very, very strong for Strugs. It's Fade. He's only 6 tenths behind OS. As he enters the middle part of the circuit, Keji coming to the final sector. He's tantalisingly close, and maybe Strugs just knows I don't need to defend this too hard. I can just slipstream the rest of the way here. Oh, they are so close, and the DRS usages are similar. So you expect Strugs to use a big burst of DRS as he leaves this corner, EOS even as he leaves the corner. The DRS pops open for Keji. This could be Keji's first sniff of overtake here as he goes up to the inside. There's a little bit of contact between those two, but I think Keji was entitled to the room on the inside, and it's a double DRS usage. So can Keji pull a gap? No, because Strugs puts it up the inside, uses a whole heap of EOS, but they're on the same EOS. So, yeah, frustrating. Keji had clean air for all of one corner before having to rescind it, and he's back in the same place again. As we look, Fade and OS, I believe, have made places on Ben while those front two cars were battling. and it's Fade. He'll be looking all over the back of OS. As we go through this technical sector, Keji still just right on the back of Struggs. Struggs is under a lot of pressure here. A lot of pressure, and this is the kind of pressure where he starts to make mistakes. Warnings start to creep up. And it's kind of a pressure you need to apply to win this race here. We've got 25 laps to get past, build a gap of 9 seconds at least. So Keji, Struggs, very similar ERS levels. Will Keji use a bit of ERS here? He's a bit further back, but maybe an opportunity out of turn 1 is available. As a 4 tenths apart. Gets a better drive, Struggs does. It just opens up, and that place isn't there for them. As Fade comes onto the back straight, and he's going for an overtake on OS. He's going to the inside. OS gives him the room. As we ride on board with OS, does he try and fight back? Not much ERS from OS, and I think he has to admit defeat here. Looks at the inside, puts that pressure on, but I don't think OS had much to fight there, so OS will just try to stay in the coat trails of Fade here. He's got no penalty, so Fade has. So he's, still net in the lead on the road, but you can just see how Fade takes over turn 4. So much more confidence. Pulls out 7 tenths already, and it will be very difficult for OS to stay in that DRS bubble, the 1 second time. As Keji has also fallen back, Struggs has survived that storm. Can Keji just reconfigure, save a little bit of ERS? And it looks like they're both saving ERS over these laps. OS, yep, he's fallen out of the DRS range of Fade. How many penalties has Fade got, though? That would be interesting to see. He's got 3 seconds worth of penalties, so difficult. It's difficult. Fade is now 4 seconds behind Captain Rainbow Fox. Not much ERS either. Matusas setting the fastest lap of the race. But I think Matusas may be a lap down. I'm not quite sure on that one. Let's have a look at leader. Has that rectified itself? I think Matusas may actually be on the lead lap here. So he's still within a sniff of it, let's say. More penalties than people around him, I would say that. Fox having quite a quiet race. Doesn't have the pace to compete with those top 3 cars. But also, I don't think people behind him have a pace. So it's just for Fox putting their metronome down, scoring some good points for Ferrari here. I don't think it's his favourite track. But he's run a decent race here. He could be happy with it. 25 laps to go. 24 laps to go even. And it'll be 24 at the end of this lap for Fox. So just seeing himself through to the end. He'll hope for no more safety cars because he's got 6 seconds when people around him have 3 seconds. But Fade is roughly 5 seconds down and not really closing that gap as much as you'd think. Fade on that harder tyre, that step harder, so doesn't have quite as much pace, but may have a little bit more pace towards the end of the race. We'll see how that plays out. Keji, back in 8 tenths of the leader. He's recharged, he's come back. He wants to take the fight all the way to the end. He knows. Well, actually, looking at it, the gap that Scholar Bull has, he could snip second place away from Keji here. So Keji really does need to press, as we have a stricken car. Is it the stricken car of Alex? He's just recovering here. He'll want to get that out the way of Scholar Bull pretty quickly as well, you'd hope. Fade falling back, not closing in Captain quite as much as I thought he would, but he's not doing too bad here. I think it's time to open up the can of whoop-ass. Last time I did this, the whole lobby went to shambles in broadcast safety mode. So Keji, 7 tenths behind Struggs. Struggs is just keeping him at arm's length, to be honest. Struggs has only conceded position once in the whole race. And has, this is kind of Grand Chelem territory so far. Every lap he's come over and led the lap. So Struggs really, really setting quite a good tempo and just keeping Keji at arm's length. With Keji just slowly racking up the warnings. Struggs, no warnings. Well, no penalties so far. He may have 1 or 2 warnings at this point. Maybe no warnings. That would be quite miraculous if that's the case. I ran a race like that around China once, where I had no warnings. I was pretty proud of myself. Still didn't win. So this is amazing pace from Struggs if that's the case. And keeping Keji at arm's length. Scullable, keeping nice consistent laps just behind. He'll hope for a safety car towards the end, because that will put the cat amongst the pigeons. And with less penalties than people around him, he'll be in a good position to score 18 points off Keji. Maybe even push for the win. Who knows what happens between here and the end of the race, with about 21 laps to go. So, coming to the final 20 laps of the race, Keji, it's now or never for Keji, really. He's got to get past Struggs. He's got to put Struggs under pressure. He's got to build that gap. And I think he knows that. He's using up a lot of EOS to try and get there. Struggs has a lot of EOS, actually. And has a lot of better drive out of that corner consistently. And I think Keji knows he's got to get past him now, because he could be in a position where he falls into the hands of Scullable. Any more warnings following Struggs. If Keji feels like he has better pace, then it's now or never. Fox, 13 seconds behind Scullable, so not pressing, but Fade slowly pulling that gap in, and OS, hasn't let that gap fall out of line too much. Still within 3 seconds of the car in front, which is super important for his race. He could be taking 5th place off Fade if things finish as they are now. Captain Rainbow Fox getting another penalty. He again falling backwards when it comes to warnings. So on the road, it would look like OS is in front of him. So OS would be taking 4th if things finish now, but not now, because it's fallen over the line basically. So on the road, OS just falling back from the territory where Fade would lose his position to him. Keji, for a few laps at the start, it was like 1.2 seconds Keji was always behind. But now it's like 7 tenths to 4 tenths. I think he needs to be within 4 tenths to get this done. And Struggs nipping back ahead, that'll be so frustrating. As we have a spinner at turn 13, it's Alex in the Haas again. Struggling for some pace here. Keji, he's so close here. He's so close. This is probably, as close he's been through this middle sector. 4 tenths, but it's just this corner here. He just goes in a bit deep, and that's 3 tenths maybe lost to Struggs. Gap goes from 3 tenths to grows to about 6 tenths there for those corners, 7 tenths. So he just falls back in this middle sector continuously, and having to push so hard and running over track limits and building out that penalty sequence to be much higher than Struggs, 9 seconds higher than Struggs. As Fade slowly chips away at that gap from Captain Rainbow Fox. I think he'd be quite happy if the race ended now. He'd be up into 4th, but maybe a late safety car can bring him back into contention for, even the race win. They started first and second, Fade did. Fade having a bit of a topsy-turvy race, slowly pulling this back in. But his consistency in the second part of the race has been a lot better. As Keji, so frustratingly, just hangs back. And just falling outside of that second range here. This a lap ago, he was right on him. Better through turn 4, gains a little bit of time there, maybe 2 tenths. It's just interesting to see how Struggs is much better through the middle sector and Keji much better through the third and first sector, and that's just really balancing each other out. Even with that DOS, that extra 4 tenths, let's say it's worth, down those 2 straights, he just can't manage to break that rut. Ben closes up to the back of Matusas. Actually, Matusas has actually got Ben in the last few laps, I believe. Matusas looks like he's pitted recently. But Matusas on a lot older medium, so you'd expect Ben to have better pace here. First degrees, another driver without penalties. Only him, Joker, and Struggs are without penalties at this late stage. We have a spin at Sector 2. It's the Haas of Alex Trent G. If we look at on board with Geordie, he's just being lapped by those opening cars. Doesn't want to get too involved there. He'll end up... I think he knows that. I think he knows he doesn't... Oh, no, wait. There's a safety car. There is a safety car. So Alex's spin there. So this is interesting. 20 laps to go. You will get to the end on a pair of softs, but they are fucking awful at the end. They are really, really bad. So... will people pit for a pair of softs, go for a dash? Maybe someone out there has a fresh pair of mediums, and this will be amazing for them at this stage of the race, because people who go on the softs will be quicker for the first 5 laps, but they're a lot slower as we get to the final stages of this race. So we see Alex Trent G. He's pitting for a pair of... well, he's on softs now. He's probably cycled about 15 pairs of softs already this race. He's pitting... new front wing. He's lost his front wing. He's probably the cause of the safety car. It's a new pair of softs going on to his car. So they will get to the end, but they're rough. They're about 60 to 70% usage after 20 laps. I did the opening 20 laps in 100% on it. So probably a little bit lower than that, maybe 55 to 60. We also have the Toblerone coming in for pits. He has 17 lap old softs, so he wanted to ditch those McLeod 21 lap old hards. So Geordie has a pair of mediums, fresh mediums. At this stage, that is amazing to have. Yeah, absolutely amazing, because those will get to the end very nicely indeed. So he'll have a lot of pace there. It's unfortunate he's a lap down, but he can finish quite far up. Struggs. So Keji has pitted. Keji has decided to pit for a pair of softs. He's taking that gamble. Can he get past Struggs? So Keji is taking that gamble. Skull the Bull also taking that gamble. Can he get by? Fade switching onto a pair of softs as well. He'll fall back behind Rainbow Fox. Will he fall behind OS? I think OS isn't quite quick enough. Let's watch on board and see who gets out in front of those two. So as it goes over the line, end of the white line is where we judge it from. I think OS just got ahead there, but the game says otherwise. So it's Fade who gets by. I think OS is trying to race by Fade here, but no. I think OS did just get ahead of Fade there, just. So, but he's on 5 lap old softs. They aren't making it to the end. They are going to be toasty. So, Struggs on a pair of mediums. He'll go to the end on that pair of mediums unless there's another safety car, another incident. Keji will have extreme race pace. Can he build that 9-second gap? This is the opportunity he needed. With 17 laps to go, 16 laps to go at the moment, it will probably be about 15, 14 by racing resumes. So those laps will make it to those tyres will make it to the end. They won't be great, but if he can pull out, a 9-second gap on Struggs, then it's the right tyre move. Struggs not pitting. He's missed his chance to pit. It was really after a box opposite situation for Struggs, and the right move to stay out on mediums, in my opinion, just because he has no penalty. Keji, if he gets past, that's great, but he's got to make up 9 seconds of time. Possibly at least maybe a little less if Struggs gets a penalty between the end of the race, but Struggs can just keep it clean, keep it consistent. And sometimes it's easier to be, in a defensive role towards the end of the race. You can manage that gap. If you've got someone closing you down 2 seconds a lap, but there's only, quick maths, 9 laps left. Nope, that's terrible maths. 2 seconds a lap. Yeah, 9 laps left, and there's gaps 20 seconds. Then you just need to keep to a tempo, and they have to do all the pushing. They have to push at a higher rate than you do, and you can just keep it in the line. So, really, Keji is the one who's going to have to be offensive here, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Captain Rainbow Fox, Scholar Bull, they may also make it very difficult for Struggs. If Keji can build that 9-second lead, then Scholar Bull gets past Struggs, and Struggs has a bad time trying to overtake Scholar Bull again. This could cost him the lead of the race. The Soul Collectors in chat, being a bit glitchy again. So what happened to you, Soul, if you're watching? What happened to you? Because you just seemed to pull off. I know you had some weird thing with McLeod. Did you get raged or were you disqualified? What happened there, if you're still watching? Soul, our Red Bull driver, who pulled off at the last safety car, which is about 10-15 laps ago. It was actually lap 35-ish when that came out. So, looks like we'll go around one more time. It's Joke, I believe, who's coming up. Yeah, Joker's just going around turn 12 at the moment, so he'll probably catch up this tour. He's on 1 lap old mediums. OS has decided to switch to a pair of softs. He lost 3 places there to Fade, Matusas, and Ben. But, looking at those medium tyres, he thinks he can make ground on those. And he'll have a bit better tyres than the soft runners in front. Don't think that will count for too much, but knowing that with 5-lap-old softs, as the safety car came out, those were too old to get to the end. These are going to be, I think just about fine to get to the end. Reminder that Keji has a 9-second penalty. So Keji has a 9-second penalty. Scholar Bull only has a 3-second penalty. So if he can get ahead of... And we have lap markers in between Struggs and Keji, which will be a bit of release to Struggs, but they'll get out of the way pretty quickly. But if Skull can use his pace, and he's had really good pace in this race, get in front of Struggs, pull a 3-second gap out, Skull is the winner of this race. This isn't over by a long shot. And as we go to the final sector, that's it. Race controller saying safety car in this lap. So we will ride on board with Struggs to watch when the foot can go down. Fade is also not out of this race. He's only got 3 seconds worth of penalties, fresh pair of softs as well. 9-second worth of penalties for Fox. That makes it quite difficult to win the race from here. But we will see what the pace offset is after the different tyres come into play. And it looks like Struggs is getting a bit of a buffer from here. Yeah, look, a big gap between the Haas and the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeo goes by so they've got to pull apart here. Let those cars go through. I think Scholar Bull, will want to be let through by his teammate pretty quickly because he's got a chance of winning this race. Toblerone should be quite aware that Scholar Bull is in a fight for the win here, so should be pulling apart quickly, but not giving that room. Trying to attack the Haas, but he has blue flag, so he will be getting a penalty, and he just skirts through here. That would have cost him time. Bit of miscommunication between those two. Scholar Bull not having a mic, usually, which has cost him there, because he could have told Toblerone, get out of my way, I'm in a fight for the lead here. And Keji putting the foot down here, closing that gap down to 1.4 seconds. He needs to overtake and take 9 seconds out of Struggs, and Struggs has no riposte in all of this. It's possible, but it's also, you know, quite unlikely. But we'll see. Bull has a better chance if he can close that gap down to the leader Strugs at the moment. He only has a 3-second penalty, so he just needs to be 3 seconds in front of Strugs at the end of the race. Obviously, those mediums will go to the end of the race, but maybe a bit dicey. A 1:18.9, so a good lap there from Keji, despite all of the nonsense with the unlapping of cars. And he puts himself in a position. Is Strugs just letting him by? I think Strugs is just letting him by. Yes, Strugs is just not going to fight that. He says, I'll just try and stay on your coattails. I'm not going to fight that because you have a lot better pace here, but you will burn out. You will be like Icarus. So Strugs will just want to follow Keji by as closely as possible and possibly attempt to defend from Skull the Bull. So quite a smart strategy there from Strugs. He knows he has way less penalties to deal with at the end of the race, i.e. he's got none at the moment. But we're just struggling through that middle sector, and this is where Keji has struggled through most of the race with that middle sector. But Skull the Bull is chipping away that lead at the front. So Strugs is susceptible here. Fade has overtook Captain Rainbow Fox in that melee. OS Degrees also making his way through. Let's switch to interval time so we have a better clear view of the times. So we have OS Degrees. He's having a look at Matusas. He's on much better soft, so he's got a better tire offset. He also has a penalty-wise. He's doing well here. So, you know, this is a great thing for OS as well. If he can just make up a bit of ground, he could gain a lot of time through the penalties at the end of the race. As Keji pulls that 1 second window on Strugs. Strugs has not been able to maintain that gap. Crucial because that DRS would help him defend from Skull the Bull. Keji, of course, wants to go down the road and try and build a 9-second gap for himself. OS just not able to pull up to the back of Matusas. Matusas with great race speed here. Older tyres, it's a bit of a mismatch between these two. As we go on board with Skull the Bull, this is a position for the potential lead of the race, depending on how penalties play out at the end. Through the second sector, as we ride off board with the Alfa Romeo. He'll be hunting down Strugs. He'll be hoping to stay within a second and not use up too much of his life. It's reminiscent, this strategy of Hamilton in real life today, pulling those laps down on those softs at the end of the race. Strugs, who's led all race. He had a Grand Chelem on the cards before that late safety car, has cost him a bit here, as he has DRS. But Strugs has saved a lot of ERS here, so there'll be a lot of defending being able to be done. Skull the Bull uses as much ERS as possible. What is it like through the first corner? A bit better traction, but I think Strugs will be able to maintain this for another lap. He's only lost 1.8 seconds to the lead car. OS has took Matusas, and they're still too wide as they go through turn 2. Matusas just tucking into the slipstream of OS, knowing no point to fight that. I've also got this penalty here. OS is going to march down the road, try and catch up with his teammate. He's already ahead on track after penalties are applied. OS looking for the scraps of the penalty places. Skull the Bull 5 tenths down as we go into the second sector. Through 5 and 6. Open up the corner for turn 7. Hug that inner curb and into turn 8. Open up that corner as much as you can. Just staying with, you can see the softs have much better traction here. 6 flat old softs are not slower than those mediums, but very wide from Skull. He'll probably have got a warning for that. And it can't go much higher. Let's have a quick look at the different penalties. So 3-second penalty for Skull the Bull. This is really potential for the lead of the race here. So, only 1.9 seconds down the road for Keji. Keji will find it hard to build that gap. As he has DRS, 4 tenths down. Strugs used a lot of ERS to defend here. He knows that this could be the race. The longer he keeps him behind, the better chance he has. Oh, it's just painful because I think Skull the Bull has squandered a lot of ERS here. A lot of ERS trying to fight through the pack and catch up to the back of Strugs. But I think the tyres would have done that for him. And it's just, it is painful. But he has 9 laps to get by Strugs. 9 laps, and maybe he'll try something a bit audacious, Skull. Maybe he'll go for it in the middle of the lap, knowing that he's got much better pace. It'd be dangerous to do so, but if he can do it cleanly, then that's kind of aggressive move that can win the races. As we follow through this tight sector, through 7 and 8. Or is that 9 and 8? And this is 10 and this is 11, so that's right. Very close. But making a little mistake there. Struggs has a lot more ERS to defend, but he is running out of the ERS here. Struggs is using up his ERS little bit by bit. So as long as Struggs can keep enough ERS in time for the crossover period between the traction between these tyres to happen, which I would reckon happen in the next 3 laps, Struggs is keeping pace with the car in front. And it's 3 tenths. Will a move be possible? Oh, he closed up so much in the braking zone there, a lot more confident, but as he exits, will he have an opportunity here? No, Struggs using ERS to defend. He's down to 19%. This is the fight for the race lead. Once penalties are applied. Fade slowly chipping away in the background as well. He's not over either. And as he's just so close. He's so close through this middle sector. Scullable just needs to save a bit of ERS. Struggs needs to not spend much ERS. He's down another 10% lap on lap. So has he done enough to keep this gap contained? And you can see that Struggs is starting to get a bit better tyre life. Oh, a little bit of a slide with Scullable, probably overheating his tyres. Matusas gets another penalty. 12 seconds worth of penalties at the moment for Matusas. And you have a feeling that the time has passed for Skull to overtake here. He's just struggling with traction. You can see, so much understeer through that corner. And the gap's up to 8 tenths. They'll still have DRS. But as Toblerone, the Alpha teammate spins, is that, he gets going again. So that shouldn't be a safety car. But you feel like the moment has passed for Scullable to be able to win this race. Maybe should have overtook a couple of laps ago, but I think it's his ERS usage which has cost him. Struggs has defended masterfully, and his race win is still on despite all odds being against him. We have that crossover period. Let's remind ourselves of the tyre difference. 28 lap old mediums, so they must be getting a bit rusty with 9 lap old softs. And I think that crossover period is starting to come where the softs are no longer as quick as the mediums. But still, he just gets, saves the spin. But he just gets a bit too ambitious through that corner. Takes a bit too much curb on the inside of turn 6. And he's just running track limits as well, building up those warnings. They turn into more penalties. That makes the job even harder. But he's doing a good job, Skull, of securing 3rd place. That's worthy in itself to have a podium on your maiden Syndicate Racing League race. Well, I'm not sure if it is a maiden one actually. As a half spins again, you've got to presume it's Alex Trent. Toblerone's going through the pits. And he's going to come out just in front here. That won't give Struggs DRS. There's just a slidey tyres. I think that's it. I think Skull is going to find it so hard to overtake. Toblerone should be backing away, but he's not. He's getting in the way of this battle. Just a little bit. Again, a lack of communication between those two. And Scullable, there we are. You can say that's over. Struggs can breathe. 6 seconds is unlikely a gap to build. You have to look at Keji. Has he got any more penalties? No, he hasn't. 9 seconds is still the gap, but unlikely that he's going to lose 6 tenths to Keji over the next few laps. So, Struggs is now breathing a bit. He knows he's done enough here. He's done enough, and it was a good defending, smart tactical use of ERS to keep Skull behind for enough laps for those tyres to go off. So really, really worthy of a win here. As OS Degrees, 5 seconds down from his teammate Captain David Fox, but with 12 seconds less penalties. So looks like OS will win the Ferrari battle there. Fade only not managing to close down Scullable. Scullable's had really good pace this weekend, and you can see that he's certainly not been in that top 2 bracket in the race, but has deservedly had this 3rd place, barring there's no instance towards the end of this race. AJ, Emmy, I couldn't get Emmy's sound to work with mine. He couldn't see an option to enable his party, his sound, so I just had to ditch Emmy, unfortunately. That's where Emmy went, unfortunately. Hopefully next week we can get it set up so he can share his sound on my side. But it wasn't showing me as broadcasting from my side, so it wouldn't let him share. But we tried to restart the Xbox and everything, but it didn't work. So, 5 laps to go. Getting to the point where no more safety cars can be called, which will be a big sigh of relief to those runners with larger penalties. 3-second offset. Fade has lost a bit more time to Skull here, and you're starting to think that Skull's getting a firmer and firmer grasp of that podium position, pushing really hard. He's really right up the chuff of Strug still. But Strug knows a thing or two around here about keeping cars behind, and Keji has got that ahead, but actually I think he's starting to fall backwards into Strugs now. I think roughly they have the same pace tyre-wise. Really, really good defending from Strugs here. A bit of a moment through turn 4. Fade starting to fall backwards, losing confidence in his tyres, and falling further and further behind that crucial 3-second window, which would give him third place. He's more or less got fourth secured at this point. Matusas is DNF'd. Matusas is DNF'd. When did that happen? That would be a shame for Matusas. He got so near the end. I'm not sure he'll be classified as a runner there, but Matusas struggled so much with DNFs last season and looked to have nipped that in the bud. But as he goes on to lap 66, he's had an incident at turn 4 from the looks of things, and that's caused a DNF. Matusas, if you're following, if you're watching, let us know what's happened to you, pal. The ball's still sitting in that DRS window, but fundamentally has just no ERS left to get by, and Fade falling ever further and further behind, just doesn't have the confidence to keep those temps lower, and having to not push as hard. Is Fox closing in on Fade? That's the interesting question. Academic anyway, because of the differential between those two penalties. Out of the reach of Fox. Ben secure in 7th. This is pretty all set in stone, to be honest. Even through the minor placings, you've got Geordie, who's roughly 2-3 laps down. He is yet to go past the stricken car of Matusas. 9th place is now Geordie's. McLeod, you'd think he's probably in 10th as well, scoring a point. As long as he can make it to the end. Alex Trent and Toblerone riding out the field. They've had quite a few spins in this race. So you'd think now... Oh, Struggs has fell behind Sculler Bull. So Sculler Bull has got Struggs here. So let's see if anything happens, really. It's... Let's see if his base pace can keep up. Struggs has had a moment here. I didn't expect him. I expect him just to keep him at arm's length. Can Struggs keep up? Oh, there's an incident. I think this is a Haas. He'll be looking to get out of the way pretty quickly. The Haas of Alex, I presume. He does. He is. Yeah, and I think he's going to get out of the way pretty soon. But it does slow down those cars. So Struggs cannot lose another 4 seconds here. Keji still has the least bit of chance, but Struggs just needs to keep behind Sculler Bull here. I think it's happened. If this happened 5 laps ago, there was a chance Sculler Bull could have pulled the gap, but then it went up to 3 seconds. Went up to 6 seconds the gap, and penalty-wise, I think Struggs Should be cruising. Of course, penalties are never final until very wide line from the ball there. Penalties are never final until they're all reviewed. You can get warnings and certain penalties removed as long as they are unserved at the end of the race. You provide evidence that you couldn't avoid the warning or the penalty, it was wrong, and provide the incident log and the pit log as evidence. You can get those removed. So, we're on the penultimate lap here. And it looks like Keji on the road is going to finish first. But actually, Sculler Bull here, I've miscalculated here. Sculler Bull has to be within 3 seconds of Keji. And he will take second place from Keji. So I've forgotten about that. But Keji pushing so hard, Sculler Bull pushing so hard to take that first place has actually put him back into third. So we'll see as we go through the final lap. Can Skull get that under 3 seconds? That's the perfect number he'll be looking for. And Keji is using his EOS. He has pushed as hard as he can to build that gap. Actually, Sculler Bull has similar EOS levels. So this is really tight. A mistake from Keji on this lap, a mistake from Sculler Bull, that will settle this fight. Strug's more or less set for the race win because of the lack of penalties he has. Obviously, yeah, he's not going to get like more than 6 warnings in the one corner in one lap. Sorry. Fade in 4th place, Fox in 5th, OS in 7th. OS in 6th, sorry, he'll be taking 5th place from Fox after the penalty applied. 7th for Ben. The final lap, final time that Keji has to go through this technical second sector, that he struggles so much of the race behind Shrugs. But yeah, he's just pulled out 6 tenths on Sculler Bull, so just nailed this final lap. So looks like the podium is going to be Strugs from Keji in 2nd, from Sculler Bull in 3rd. We'll just get confirmation of that as we go over the line. We'll get confirmation of final placings and penalties. Make sure that penalties are properly applied as well, so we won't hear a call of who's won for a few laps yet. And there we are. Strugs finishes ahead of those. Strugs takes the win. Round 1 is complete at Hungary. Fade takes 4th place. Fox comes back in a good 5th position. That will fall down to 6th place once OS goes over the line. Has he done enough to keep Ben behind? I think he has done enough to keep Ben behind there. It's a tight one, but yeah, he has done more than enough actually because of Ben's penalties. And Joker coming down a lap behind. He's coming up to corner 12. Alex and Trent, they've crossed over the finish line on separate laps here. Geordie, another lap down as well. And McLeod, he'll be the final car to finish. McLeod getting the final points position, 10th place. You've got to congratulate our winner Strugs. He did a superb race as McLeod finishes off the round for the weekend. So Strugs has won. Keji in 2nd place in the Aston Martin team, reserving for them this weekend. Sculler Bull in 3rd for the Alfa Romeo team. The Constructors winners last time round finished in 5th and 6th. Presumably Williams are the Constructors leaders at the moment as we leave this round. Let's not watch the podium. And let's just quickly go over and have a look at all the results. So make sure to get penalty and no penalty down. So Matusas finished his 6 laps down, just classified by the skin of his teeth. 3 laps down for Toblerone, 2 laps down for McLeod. Let's have a quick view of incidents. They are in the correct order this weekend. Right. So that, let me just clip this and then I can just finish the stream off. So that concludes this broadcast for the Syndicate Racing League Hungary. Join us next weekend. We shall be at Canada, I believe, where it will be our first sprint session, our first proper sprint session. 8 points are available for the sprint session win. So, join us there. Same time next weekend, 8 p.m. BST, we start qualifying. Thanks for watching.